and welcome back to the Adric cast, the Doctor Who podcast, which we can confidently say is better than the official one, because we actually fucking watch the show. I'm Jane. No, I'm not Janey. I'm Gregor.
And I'm Gregor. No, I'm not. I'm Janey.
There we are. We know exactly what we're doing.
Oh,
Anyway, we
brilliant.
join us for our second wave of podcasts. We want to
Mhm.
start off by apologising. We're not sure why we're apologising, but we will certainly need to. So
Yes.
we might as well get it over
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, Today's episode, we're going to talk about The Chase,
Chase.
which is, I believe, the sixth story of season two. No
Mm.
slashes, just season two.
Just season two. Just
Back in the
season
good
two.
old days.
Yeah.
Yeehaw. I don't know why I said yeehaw. Uh, we've
Gregor's had
gone
a rum
from
and Diet Pepsi before we started, so.
it was number one Pepsi Max, and number two that
Oh,
was
so
two
I'm
days ago.
so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I have not been drinking alcohol, though God knows I should have.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have. Mm.
yeah, we're going to talk about The Chase. It's quite quite a swing from talking about the latest series of Doctor Who to go
Mm.
right back to the early days. But we
To
want
the
to do a
good old
story that
days.
starred William Russell. Uh,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
this one's, I don't want to say it's dedicated to him because we're just going to be embarrassing ourselves all the way through it.
It's
But yeah,
dedicated to
it's nice to look back on some of his work from
Yeah,
back then, and we're gonna watch. Well, we've watched. We're gonna review.
we're gonna watch.
We've watched, and we're going to review one of his stories, one that we both agreed was probably one of our favourites from that
Yeah.
particular era, which is why we've picked it.
Yes.
So yeah, we were going to be looking into Doctor in the Chase, but first, the news.
The
Uh,
news.
the news bulletin. I talk about this as news for people who are listening, like they've never heard about this stuff. They know about this stuff, but it's more our opinions on the news than the actual
Yeah,
like
it's
an
more
actual
me
news bulletin.
learning about the news with all of you because I don't know what's going on
Well,
in this
they'll know
segment.
what the news is. It's you who
Oh,
doesn't
it's
know.
just me. It's literally just me. Oh, God.
So we have a news bulletin that's directly targeted at Janie.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is
Number
how I
one,
learn things.
this is how you learn things. Number one, the biggest news Doctor related news story of the week is Jodie Whittaker is back as the 13th
Yes.
Doctor in Big Finish with Mandip Gill joining her
Very
as Yasmin Khan.
exciting.
It is, and I I like for me, I kind of knew that she'd probably be up for it at some point.
Mhm.
Jodie, she's never talked about wanting to distance herself from the role after
No.
leaving. I am a bit surprised it's come as soon as this though, because we are, I think, less than 3 years since she left.
Yeah, isn't this the quickest an actor has gone over to Big Finish after they've left the role of the Doctor? I read that on the internet, so it must be true.
In terms of mainstream doctors, yes.
Mm,
Joe Martin, though, her first one hasn't come out yet. Joe
no.
Martin was announced before her final
Yeah.
appearance in the show in The Power of the
Yeah.
Doctor as well. But yeah, I'm excited about Jodie Audio's. It's interesting for me because it's less about nostalgia or wanting more of what I've seen.
Mm,
For me, it's more about things that could be added to Jodie and to the Doctor and Yaz's characters, or
yes.
new like adventures that they never really got the chance to do
Mhm.
in the show.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, like I really want to see a decent Silurian story with Jodie.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because it was something people talked about for a long time, is that whole thing about negotiating the peace between humans and Silurians, that kind of story that Doctor Who's done a few times, would really
Mhm.
work well with our Doctor, but we never
Fine.
really got it. So
No.
this is that kind of thing, or get her like some decent original monsters, the original
Yeah.
villains as well. I'd like to see stuff like that. And then also a lot of people. One of the big things that people are excited about is Dasman
Yeah.
being revisited.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they'll do that. I'm not a super fussed, but expanding
Mm.
on their characters and increasing their connection is only a good thing,
Yeah.
really. Fleshing out the characters more and building upon them. So that gap between Revolution of the Daleks and the Halloween Apocalypse, which is where I think all of these audios are going to be set, from my
Mhm.
understanding.
Mm.
We get to find out how they grew closer and stuff, which is
Yeah.
cool. One thing that is surprising though about this especially is the way they're gonna release them. For Big Finish, they love doing their box sets.
Yes.
They used to do like they started out with like the monthly adventures, and every month they would come out with one adventure for a Doctor.
Mm.
But in recent years, they've started getting more into box sets of adventures,
Yeah.
and
I've
especially with
noticed
New
that
Who.
actually.
So if you were wanting to pick up a Ninth Doctor story, you couldn't pick it up on its own. You have to get
No.
a box set, and you get 3 stories in it. Or same goes with the 10th Doctor. Most of his stuff is or David Tennant, yeah, most of his stuff's in box sets. Uh, and all the classic Doctors have now gone down that route. But with Jodie, no. All of
No.
her adventures are going to be released individually,
Oh, interesting.
one every 2 months, starting from July next year.
Oh,
You will get a single 1-hour audio every 2 months,
do we know
is how they're
why?
doing it. Possibly so they can string it out as long as they possibly can.
Mm. Okay.
Uh, I don't mind them going back to releasing the stories individually because it means if you want to listen to just a specific one, you want to buy that one, you don't
Yeah.
have to spend more money on picking ones you don't want
Yeah,
to go
definitely.
with, you know. So in that way, it's okay. It
Mhm.
feels like maybe that's not just a Jodie thing. I think they're kind of leaning towards that release format in general. I think they've
Mm.
maybe stubbed their toe on the box sets a bit because they've also got this Dark Gallifrey thing going on right now, which you've probably seen
Yeah.
bits and bobs about. That feels like it should be done in box sets, but they're actually releasing everything individually.
Mm.
Though that's on a
Interesting.
monthly basis. So maybe that's what they're going to be doing in the future. Is you're going to get a 1-hour audio every month or every 2 months.
Yeah.
Either way, Jodie's going to be back as
Jodie's
Doctor in audio
back.
ventures,
Woo.
and I'm hoping to see new and interesting things for the character, and then stuff that I've been wanting to see that I never got to see on TV.
Mhm.
How about you? Do you feel like that, or are you just wanting some nostalgia for the Chibnall era? Or
I just want her back. I just want her back.
she's back?
um, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, not just because I want some more Jodie content, but also I'm kind of hoping that for all the people who keep on banging on about, the Chibnall era was awful, they should have given her better stories. I'm sort of hoping that this sort of quells that a little bit and it gives us a little bit more diversity in her stories.
Think it
Um,
will.
I think
Um,
so.
and
Yeah.
there is like I've been one thing you should never ever do is look at comments on a Doctor Who post, but I've been doing just that. And there have been a lot of people who are just being like, I'm quite frankly, being like, I didn't enjoy Jodie's era,
Mm,
but I'm looking forward to this.
yeah.
There's a lot of that going around, which
Yeah.
is cool to see.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because like with any era of Doctor, it's not going to be for everyone ultimately.
No.
But one of the good things with Big Finish is they have been able to diversify in the
Hmm.
sense of like genres and tones and everything like
Yeah.
that. They've been able to diversify Doctor's eras and
Mm,
have things that you wouldn't maybe find in a certain Doctor's, like explore different things. I'm
yeah.
explaining this terribly,
Hmm.
but I can use a
No.
good example. I can use Colin Baker as an example because his Doctor found a totally new lease of life through Big Finish, and
Yeah.
people who really didn't enjoy any of his TV stories have been able to really enjoy some of his Big Finish stuff.
Mm.
So I think there'll be a bit of that going on, but there will also be people who love the Chimera just getting a bit more of the stuff that they enjoy as well. It
Yeah.
hopefully it's just going to work out for everyone, and
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
hope
people will
so.
enjoy it. You know, so yeah, it's good news.
Mm.
Also, in the Big Finish world, we've got the Stuff of Legends coming out. The
We
first
have.
ever Big Finish story to be performed live on stage,
Which you're going to see.
which I'm going to see. I'm going to drool for however
Watch
long.
out, Paul McGann. I hope he's
I,
I hope he's hired extra security for
um,
this.
I am towards the back. You'll be fine.
Oh
I'm up in
god.
like it's up in like the gallery or whatever you
If we
call it.
see you in the news, then
I'm not a fucking maniac.
well,
Oh,
I have no further comment.
no comments. But yeah, this it's a brand new Big Finish adventure, The Stuff of Legend, starring
Mhm.
Home Again as the Eighth
Mhm.
Doctor, India
Sorry.
Fisher.
What was that?
That was my Paul McGann impression.
Oh god. Oh god.
Better believe it.
Oh god.
We've also got India Fisher as
Mhm.
his companion, Charlie Pollard.
Yes.
She's a lot of people like Charlie, so that's cool. We've also got Alex McQueen as the
Yes.
Master.
Mhm.
Have you ever heard Alex McQueen as the Master?
I haven't. I'm aware of him, obviously. But you know me, I'm not in the past I haven't been too into Big Finish.
He's,
I suspect that will change this year, but no, I've never heard him in the role.
he is quite good.
Mm,
He's been on a bit of a sabbatical from being the Master for a while.
right.
He was very like he was like around the time of like Dark Eyes, which would have been like mid 2010s.
Mhm.
That was when he was at his peak
Yeah.
master this. And since all
His
that kind of
peak
wrapped up,
masterness.
his peak
Nice.
masterness.
Nice.
Since all that wrapped up, he's only really done that big multi-master story thing
Mm,
they came out with a few years ago. So
yeah.
this is sort of like a return with him, like a proper return.
Mhm.
So that's cool. And he's obviously going to be on stage. All of the original cast are going to be on stage. Nicholas Briggs as the Daleks as well.
Yes.
He'll be there.
Mm.
Um, and then I can't remember the actress's name, but Elaine the Pain from Tracy Beaker is also
Elaine the Oh, brilliant.
in
I love the way you said that because as soon as I saw it, that it was happening, I was like, "Oh, it's Elaine the Pain."
it. Never gonna be able to shake off. That's
Brilliant. No. Oh god.
whenever you watch, even though did it come out before or after Tracy Beaker, like Parting of the Ways, where she's in that,
Oh,
and you
Tracy
watch it.
Beaker was before because I remember watching Parting of the Ways and being like, "Oh, it's Elaine the Pain."
Oh yeah. Yeah, well that was the same for me. I watched it and
Brilliant.
like that's Elena Payne. Uh,
Brilliant.
but yeah, so a strong cast of
Yeah.
characters. Hopefully it'll be a good show.
Mm.
Uh we're gonna review it on the Adric cast. Janie will
Ah,
be listening to the studio
I
version of
will
it,
be.
and then I'll have
Yes.
the live version. Ultimately it's the same story, and
Yeah.
we'll be exploring that. That might be our first big finish on the Adric cast.
It might be, yeah. Yeah.
But it'll be an interesting one
Mm.
to do. Yeah. In other news, outside of Big Finish, we've got Shooty's waxwork is going to be revealed at Madame
Yes.
Tussauds this Friday,
Mhm.
which hopefully by the time this comes out will be the day after this. So,
Yes.
um, Friday, the 19th of July,
Mhm.
Shooty will be revealed. Uh,
Ah.
Judging by Shooty's reaction, because they've teased it and they've like put a little teaser video of Shooty and Russell. It makes it sound like it's gonna look horrifying, but
Oh.
I feel like it's probably gonna be quite lifelike, and it's just Shooty being like, "Oh my god, it's me."
Well,
Do
I just think it's nice that they've allowed Shooty to have his own Auton waxwork. Honestly,
now,
I think it's
something
really
that I will slam my fist into the
mm.
table if we ever do Spearhead from Space is the fact that they are wax works.
Yeah.
They're made from wax, not plastic. The nesting consciousness should not be able to control
No, I think that
waxworks
was a
from random
thing though,
source.
wasn't it? It was a thing in the story that they said they're trying out these new plastic ones. So I've got to pull you up on that, Gregor.
They had like
Not
American
sounding like a real
presidents and
fan.
shit like that who
Yeah, that would have gone well
probably,
today.
yeah.
Gone down well in 2024.
Have you ever seen the thing in Disneyland where they have like the whole of animatronic presidents and they have like all of them on a stage
No,
and they like all
which
move
one?
and talk? You've never
No,
seen that?
I've never seen it. Which one? Which one? In Florida
I think it's
or
in
California?
the California one.
I've not been to the
It,
California one, and I will not be going ever now. That sounds horrific.
it's about as it's what you can imagine it. It's
Yeah,
literally
horrific.
animatronic presidents, and they do have a disturbing amount of flexibility and movement as well.
Ooh.
So you have got an animatronic Donald Trump moving his fingers.
Oh, God. My worst nightmare.
What a story that would be, though, if the animatronic
Yeah.
presidents. I mean, we've got a partnership with Disney now. Why they could have a Doctor Who story set in Disneyland where the animatronic presidents go
Oh,
evil.
God. Can you
Be like
imagine?
Five Nights at Freddy's. We have to hold off the animatronic.
Nice.
Five
Nice.
Nights at Franklin's. Benjamin Franklin. Boom.
Oh, very
Done.
good. Very good.
Thank you. We're gonna move swiftly on from that, otherwise it'll
Very
just become
swiftly.
a very incoherent and ridiculous conversation. Doctor Who's got a panel at San Diego Comic Con
It
where
does.
they'll be talking about season one and hopefully some tidbits about future seasons. A lot of
Well, now
people have
I
got.
wonder if we
You wonder.
might get a Christmas special trailer
We might.
because
That
it's
sounds like the
very
sort of thing they do.
early. It does sound like the kind of thing they do. It's very early, but then I thought we got the trailer for the specials on, was it Boxing Day? So that was
It
11
was on
months
Christmas Day.
before, was it Christmas Day?
Yeah.
11 months before they came out.
Hmm.
So it's not unbelievable that we would get a Christmas trailer at San Diego Comic Con.
Well, it's in the can, that
Mm,
special. It's been in the can for a while, so you're right. I think it's a strong possibility that could
yeah.
happen. A lot of people are also thinking quite wishfully about something else, regarding the
Ugh,
future of Doctor Who. I
mm.
don't know if that sigh means you know what I'm talking about or not.
Well, are you talking about a crossover?
No.
Oh, okay, because
That is still to come in our news bulletin, but I'm talking about this war between the land and the sea thing, which
oh,
people seem to think
yes.
is gonna get announced at Comic-Con.
Oh, do they? Oh,
Well,
interesting.
apparently, it's gonna start shooting in September, and they
Interesting.
haven't actually officially announced anything, so I guess if the all these documents that they've dug up and all these CVs and things to get this information about them shooting it in September, if that's so
Mhm.
accurate and correct, then I suppose that would be a time to drop that spin-off to announce it.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of people are hoping Martha Jones will be
Yeah,
involved.
I've seen lots of people diving deep and being like, "Oh, she's gonna be having a break at exactly the same time. She's obviously in it." And though I do want to see her come back at some point in some way, I really hope after the collection box set trailer that we had a few years ago with Katie Manning and the Sea
Mhm.
Devils, I think this would be her perfect sort of quote unquote Sarah Jane Adventures spin-off. Do you not
Ah,
think? Do you not think that would be great? Her with the
I
Sea
mean, we
Devils.
adore Katie Manning, so
Yeah. Wouldn't
I have
that
a
be
story
amazing?
about Katie. I almost told it on Twitter, but I decided against it. Uh, I don't know if I should
Mm.
tell it on the podcast or not
Go on.
because it's
Go on,
fucking
do it.
stupid. So
Go
my
on, do
folks
it.
went away on holiday to Cambridge
Mm.
for a little while. And when they came back, they brought a present with them that they found in a charity shop.
They brought sorry, what do they bring back with them?
They brought a present
Oh, I thought
for
you said a
me.
president.
They brought a
They brought an
present.
animatronic president.
Ronald Reagan, yeah,
He's
he's
just gonna
propped
sit in
up
the
in my
corner. Oh god. Right, they brought a present.
put big quotation marks around the present because they knew how this present would be received, but they bought it
Right.
anyway. And this present was a framed picture of Katie Manning in the Scud next to a
Wow.
Dalek.
Oh,
In the
well,
Scud is
that picture.
it wasn't actually that very
Right.
picture. It turns out that there are multiple pictures of Katie
Oh,
Manning
I know,
next to
but it wasn't
this
the really
one.
famous one.
No, it was the one where her fanny's covered up by the sink plunger. Uh,
Thank you for saying that. No. Wait,
but
when was this? When did they bring this back?
this is
Is it
like 3
recently?
weeks ago.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
When? Where did they get it from?
A charity shop in Cambridge.
Oh my
They had
god.
other pictures there, not of Katie Manning. They
What?
had signed
Similar
pictures from,
ones, though.
they had, like, a signed picture from Terry Malloy as Davros, and
Was
they
he
had a signed
naked?
picture. No, just to put in just all the other pictures were normal pictures of Doctor Who
Oh
characters
god.
in frames, some of them signed by actors.
So did they bring
But the
them
one
all
they
back?
no, they just
They
brought back
only
the Katie
brought
Manning,
okay.
which wasn't signed by her.
Okay. Okay.
It's just a frame pic
So
I
so you could have had a signed photo from Terry Malloy, but instead
they both mm, I
God.
I was
Oh
in a really
god.
difficult situation because every time I get a gift from someone, I'm very tempted to follow the social convention of, "Oh, thank you so much. This is really kind of you.
Oh
I
god.
appreciate this." I could not do
No.
that. I had to be very blunt and just like, "I have no idea what to do with this object."
Oh god.
And I was very serious. I'm like, "What do we do with this?"
Oh god.
Um, I think Katie Manning is currently in this she's in the garage right now, with the one building the tat. The future of that
Oh
picture
god.
is undecided.
Oh
Uh,
god.
but yeah, that's my
Oh,
story, and I took a picture of it to put on Twitter and be like, "My parents fucking bought me this," but I held back on it.
nice. Nice.
I held back on posting it because
Oh
I
god.
just don't know. I just don't know what people will think, and I'm just
Well, I mean,
my parents
god,
are they
that's
got their jollies.
harrowing.
They got their jollies because they knew that I would be how awkward it would be.
Oh god. That's horrid. That's
The Dalek
horrible.
doesn't even take up that much of the picture as well, like, the Dalek takes up maybe a 20% of the
No,
picture
Gregor,
and the
I
rest of
don't
it's
think the
Katie.
point was to have a lovely picture of a Dalek. I don't think is that what you've been thinking all these years?
No,
What a lovely photo of a Dalek. It's a shame that Katie Manning is naked, clutching onto the side of it. I don't think
she wasn't clutching onto the side of it in that picture, she
right.
was
Sorry. I'm
I'm not
so
gonna
sorry.
describe it in detail, but I'll say I hope they had some antibacterial wipes to wipe
Oh
the Dalek's,
god.
plunger stick with at the end.
Oh, really? That close?
Oh, I think so.
Oh god.
It couldn't have been comfortable for
Oh, Gregor.
anyone. Anyway, we're enough talking about that. Uh, we're gonna move on to the chase now,
Mhm.
and our review of the chase. Uh, my favorite thing about the chase is when they have those like dummy answers, which are like sex puns for Bradley Walsh to say,
Oh, very good, very good, very
like
good.
Fanny Schmeller. You know what?
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, hey, we're gonna have a heavy transition into something completely different, but Fanny Schmeller,
Oh
you know,
god, Gregor.
I'm
Oh
just trying to think.
god.
Dick Tingler, Willy Wacker.
Well, it's nice to know that Paul McGann isn't the only Doctor Who actor who will now be taken out a restraining order against you. That's
Bradley
nice.
Walsh.
Katie Manning, it's stacking up. It is
I
stacking
felt
up.
guilty about that picture because I'm like, "What if I meet the lovely Katie
I
Manning?" I
don't think
nearly did.
you need
I
to feel
nearly went
guilty
to a
about it.
special dinner in Edinburgh. We're
Oh,
still talking
God.
about it when we're supposed to be talking about The Chase.
Yeah, we are.
And I tried to make a joke about The Chase, the popular game show on ITV, and yeah, but no.
Very good joke. It's very good.
Thank you.
You're
Anyway,
welcome.
The Chase from 1965,
Yes.
starring William Hartnell as
Mhm.
Doctor Who,
Mhm.
uh, Maureen O'Brien as Vicky,
Yes.
Jacqueline Hill as Barbara,
Mhm.
and the late great William Russell as Ian Chatterton
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield. Ian Chipper Sunday. Uh,
Ian Chippy Tea.
Chippy Tea.
Ian Chippy Tea. Oh God. Oh, I'm crying. Oh, oh
That's
dear.
brilliant.
Thank you. I wish I could have got it out, but I just couldn't. Oh, it was okay.
That was what Katie Manning was saying.
Oh, Gregor.
I'm
Oh
done,
God.
I'm done, I'm
No, don't,
done.
because I've got an autographed photo of her on my wardrobe staring at me as you're saying this, and she looks so disappointed.
It's not the same photo I have, is it?
How do you know? How do you know?
No, Jesus, Jesus fucking
Oh,
Christ.
she does look so disappointed. When this goes out on Thursday, I'm gonna post this exact same photo. The
I'm not
disappointment of Katie Manning.
disappointed with Katie. I'm sorry, Katie, you're wonderful. Uh,
Oh
yeah,
God.
can't even start the fucking movie.
Ugh,
What are your overall feelings about this story, Janie?
I think it's really good. I really like it. It's a really good episode. It's one of my favorites. It's
From the Hartnell era or like overall?
well, I'd say overall, but it is probably my favorite from the Hartnell era, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites from the Hartnell era.
Hmm.
Uh, I quite like the 10th Planet and Dark
Yeah.
Invasion of Earth,
Mm.
and the Gunfighters, interestingly enough. But
Oh,
I think this is
interesting.
definitely in the top 2 or 3 of the Hartnell era for me.
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
very good one.
I think, um, one of the things that really helps it, while we're talking about it overall, is the fact that it is kind of an anthology story rather than, like, one big.
Sorry. Sorry, you're gonna have to do that bit again. I'm so sorry.
You still laughing about Katie Manning?
No, no, I can't even say why I'm laughing. I can't. It's so inappropriate. It would
No, you
just
have to
it
say
will
it, and I'll
make
just
me
cut it
carry on
out.
laughing if I say it.
You have to say it because I can't record while I'm in a state of suspense.
When you said it is, it sounded like you said titties. It really sounded like you said titties.
No,
And
I'm
I
just
don't
looking at
know
that
what it just
that clip of
really
Tom
did sound
Baker.
like that a lot.
That clip of Tom Baker being "Titties." That one.
Nice. Nice.
That
Oh,
is
sorry.
ridiculously childish. You're supposed to be an adult, come on.
I'm so sorry. No, but
Jesus
it
Christ.
genuinely did sound like that. It
Honestly,
genuinely
I was
did.
trying
Oh,
to get
I'm
my head
so
away from thinking about that Katie
I'm
Manning picture. Now
so
you're bringing
sorry.
titties back
Oh,
into it.
I'm so sorry. I am
Jesus,
an
you should be
adult.
sorry.
I am. I'm sorry, Katie Manning. Don't look at me like that.
But yeah, The Chase, I think one of the things that really helps it is the fact that it is an anthology, kind of. It's a story made up of little stories.
Yeah.
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 Um,
Um, yes, it is. Which I've never really noticed it before, but sometimes I watched it last night in preparation. I kind of find it a bit jarring sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. Like when
if
they
you're
go to New
watching it,
York and they're there for 2 minutes, I'm like, oh, okay, back we go. It's sort of I find it a bit jarring, that's all.
Eh,
Is it just
maybe a
me?
little bit, but I think it does, like, because the thing about six-parters in Doctor Who, or longer ones than that even, they can drag.
Mm,
Like a pair of old bollocks on the ground, they can fucking drag.
that's nice, that's lovely.
But yeah,
That's
I'm being
really,
frank about
really
it.
lovely.
Some of them, especially with Hartnell, like, the couple of stories before this is the Web Planet, which
Which
Christ,
I
like,
love.
you like it, but I think it's fucking days old chewing gum in terms of
Well,
how bland I feel.
there's
But
no accounting for
the point
taste.
is, six-parters can drag, but doing it like this with well, not every episode is totally different, but they do
Mm,
change location and characters frequently,
yeah.
meaning that you aren't left bored for very long if you are interested.
No.
Uh, so yeah, and this is the second time they try and do this type of story. They did it first with the Keys of Marinus,
Yes.
also Terry Nation.
Mhm.
Uh, And then this time, like, I think maybe the Keys of Marinus went quite well in the production office or
Mm.
in things, and when Terry Nation was being hired to do more stories, like, why don't you do the Keys of Marinus, but throw in your other really successful thing, and you know,
Yeah.
voila, the chase. Uh, yeah, I think it's probably better than the Keys of Marinus as well. One of
Yeah,
the
I
reasons
think so.
why is this is really the first time in the show where they actually look at the TARDIS and actually explore the possibilities that you have.
Mm.
Because it's often just used as a plot device for getting the characters to a place and then going leaving at the end.
Yeah.
And there isn't a lot of stories where they frequently use it or they spend a lot of time with it, like they
No.
do here. Like in the
Mhm.
Keys of Mars, they don't use the TARDIS at all, I don't think, after
No.
they land. There's some sort of like helicopter flying past.
Oh,
We'll leave that in.
yeah, I
Helicopters are
mean,
kind
I
of
can't
cool.
hear it.
If you can't hear it, then hopefully they can't hear it.
No, I can't hear
Um, anyway,
it.
this is the second attempt at a anthology series or an anthology story in
Mhm.
Doctor Who. The third one's Dalek's Master Plan, which we won't be talking about much because we
It
can't
doesn't
watch it.
exist. Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Uh, all three of them written by Terry Nation as well, which is interesting. But yeah,
Mm.
it's I think one of the things that's in this story's favour is that format.
Mm.
And that whole thing about them exploring the TARDIS's infinite possibilities
Yes.
is does it some favors as well. Uh, and this is the first time we have another machine like the TARDIS. It's not another TARDIS, the
Mhm.
DARDIS, as it is called
The sorry, what?
affectionate. The DARDIS.
Is that genuinely what people call it?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh,
And I'll tell you
great.
why it's called the TARDIS right now, actually, because I've been doing my research for this story and
Mhm.
some behind the scenes stuff as well. So you can either thank me or curse me for boring everyone. It wasn't called the TARDIS by Terry Nation in the script, but
No, I didn't
when
think it would have been.
the script editor, Dennis Spooner, did his thing of like jigging up the script and personal script, he added the term in.
Mhm.
So instead of being called the Dalek's time
Oh,
machine, he just called it the TARDIS in the script. Uh,
nice.
so it's up for debate whether that's what it's officially called, because it's never called it on screen.
No, isn't it just
But
called the
in the
Dalek's
rehearsal,
travel machine or
yeah,
something?
probably because, William Hartnell and that were reading the script and like, I'm not fucking saying TARDIS.
Yeah, no, it's not a great idea.
No. But anyway, yeah, the TARDIS, adding that other element of what if other people had machines like the TARDIS, which has become very commonplace in the show now as well. And the idea that the
Mm.
Doctor and his friends aren't the only ones who can time travel, and yeah, there's a lot. It opens up some doors for the show. This one,
It
uh,
does,
uh
although I have a bit of a problem with continuity now
Christ, what is it?
because also now, as in like 60 years ago. But now I have a problem with continuity. Um, because am I right in thinking that the William Hartnell Daleks are like the end of the Daleks, sort of thing? Like, as in terms of their timeline, or
Right.
are they genuinely like the
I
first ones?
we could make an entire episode about this, which we
Mm,
might.
I'm sure we will.
The idea is, to sum it up, basically, is the idea, and it's not written in stone. This is what the
Mm,
Doctor theorizes
mm,
in the Dalek invasion of Earth when the Doctor and Ian get captured by the Daleks, and Ian's like,
mhm.
"But how can we be getting captured by the Daleks when we saw them all die?" And the Doctor's like,
Yeah.
"Maybe that was in the future."
Mm,
That's the only thing that that suggests that these Daleks are future Daleks. But
yes.
that's from that one story as well. So
Well, and
all
I
we know
also feel
about
like when
mhm,
Genesis of the Daleks came along, it's like, oh, well, these are the first Daleks, so they must be future Daleks, the other ones. So
it,
it's a
we
whole
should
mess.
totally try and figure out the Daleks.
We will be
Not
doing
right
that.
now though.
No, we will make an
The only
episode
thing
trying
we
to
have
figure it out.
established about in terms of whereabouts the Daleks are in their timeline is this is set after for the Daleks. This is set after Dalek invasion of Earth because they bring it up in the story
Yes,
that like
yes,
we're gonna go and hunt down Doctor Who because he stopped our invasion of Earth. So
yeah. So I
uh
kind of
yeah,
the thing that I have a problem with is we have the chase and they've got a TARDIS, which is just awful. I'm never saying that
we're
again.
gonna have to call we're gonna have to call it that for this review.
The TARDIS, they have a TARDIS.
Uh-huh.
Um, which even the Doctor at the end of the chase is like, "Oh, it's a brilliant machine. Like this is
Mm,
fantastic."
mhm.
And then in the 80s, we spend 2 episodes with the Daleks trying to time travel. We've got Resurrection of the Daleks, where they've got their Dalek time corridor, and then we've got Remembrance of the Daleks, where they're
Well,
fighting over the Hand of Omega because they want time travel technology that the Time Lords have, even though they had
uh,
technology just as good in the chase. Do you know?
no.
Do
I'd have to
you get what I
correct
mean?
you on the remembrance thing
Oh,
because in
right. Go
remembrance,
on. Go on.
the Daleks have mastered time travel in remembrance, and the Doctor does
But the
say
Doctor says they want time travel that like
they
the
want
Time
the
Lords
power
have.
to harness suns, which is what the Hand of Omega is.
Oh, did say I'm not a proper fan, Gregor.
It's not so much about time travel with the Hand of Omega because the
Right.
Daleks can time travel. They managed to time travel an entire mothership. Well, the Imperial ones
Yes.
do. And then the Renegades have that little bubble thing, but the whole idea with them is that
A
they're
little
kind
bubble
of
thing.
they're the time controller, isn't it? But the idea is that they're kind of not got so much stuff anyway, so they're not going to be able to do. Yeah, we're
That
talking
was
about the wrong
really
Dalek
good
story.
explanation. No, but that was like my little gripe, was I was thinking what like they had
Well,
it.
I am very
They had what they
confident that
wanted.
the chase from the Daleks' perspective is set before Remembrance.
Okay, well,
Also because Skaro exists in the
yeah.
chase, and it doesn't at the end of Remembrance, so
Yeah.
there's that. Um, we'll talk about that possibly another time. But looking exclusively into this episode, we start with the Daleks, interestingly. The first scene of the story is a Dalek,
She's a Dalek.
which is really uncommon for Classic Who to do anything like that because
Mhm.
they fucking love having the Daleks show up at the end of part
First
one and being like,
cliffhanger, yeah.
surprise!
It's us. Even though our name is in the title, it's
That
us.
that is it's so dumb. But sometimes it's fine. Sometimes the story is fine from that, but sometimes because they want to have this cliffhanger, the
Mhm.
story gets stretched out a bit at the first episode because they can't really do anything until the Daleks show up, and the Daleks can't show up until the
Yeah.
end. But this time that doesn't happen because they wisely said, "No, just fucking first thing we see is a Dalek,"
Yeah.
saying, "Our greatest enemies have just left wherever it is."
Mm, that's very good.
They have some interesting ways of referring to the Doctor and his friends. Sometimes they will. be like the one they call Doctor.
Yeah.
Uh, First time they've ever called him by his title
Oh, is
in the
it?
show. Yeah.
Mm,
Uh,
interesting.
and then sometimes they say, "Where are the humans?"
Yes.
or "Where are the time travelers?"
Yeah.
So they call them different things, and it's
Mm.
interesting. It feels a little bit inconsistent because, of course, the Doctor isn't a human, is he? But yet they do refer to him as one
Yeah, I'm
a
not
few
mad at it
times.
though, because it's like they don't really know much about them
That's
at
quite
this
true.
point. So,
Um, Also on the subject of First for the Daleks as well, aside from actually referring to the Doctor by his name,
mm,
is the war cry "Exterminate," which appears in the first episode when they send the Daleks away to go and kill Doctor Who. They're like, "Exterminate, exterminate," which they hadn't
yes.
actually said in the show yet.
Had they not?
No.
How have I missed this?
So this is the third ever Dalek story.
Yeah.
In the first two, I think there's a couple of times where they say the mankind will be exterminated, or we
Right.
believe in extermination, or something like that. But they never actually just
Mm,
shout exterminate as like a battle cry or whatever. They never actually say the words until
interesting.
they say words similar like extermination and all of
Yeah.
that, but they don't say
I
exterminate
had
until
never ever
like
noticed that.
that's a fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
Uh, but yeah, anyway, let's put the Daleks to the side because even though they do appear quite early on,
All about them.
the Doctor and all of that spend a lot of this episode fucking watching telly.
Yeah. Watching
Uh,
telly, sunbathing,
with
exploring.
the time space visualizer, which some of me is like kind of it's very clearly being used as filler
Yeah,
for
it's
half
very
an episode.
clunky. Yeah.
Though it does have its uses because it is how the
Well, it has
companions
a
become aware.
use.
It has two uses in the story
Right.
outside of being filler. It's how the Doctor and Barbara learn about the Daleks,
Mhm.
and it also has a use at the end as well.
Oh, yes, to watch Barbara and Ian.
hmm
Very
So I don't want to
creepy.
slag it off too much for being filler.
No, although it
What do you
is.
think about the this sequence where they end up watching historical events
Yeah, I
on
think
the
what's
time
the
space
point?
visualizer?
What's the point?
Do you find it funny? You're just bored out of your
No,
mind, or
I will say actually, I do find little bits fun.
I
Um,
mean, seeing them enjoying themselves like that TARDIS team is good in itself. I think
yeah,
because they are having a jolly good time
they
watching
are.
Abraham
Watching
Lincoln
the
on a tiny
Gogglebox.
screen,
Yeah.
watching Goggle.
It kind of
How
makes it feel like, though, we didn't need a time window in the last episode, but I'm not that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I'm sure he could have found it in the TARDIS somewhere, the time space visualizer. He could have just been
I'm
like, "Oh,
gonna.
by the way, oh, this is a thing."
It
But,
hadn't
we won't
always
go
been
into
in.
that.
I hadn't always been in the TARDIS though. He picks up at the end of the Space Museum. They give it to him as a gift,
No,
mind.
no, I mean the last episode as in The Legend of Ruby Sunday /
Oh,
Empire of
oh,
Death.
yeah, yeah.
He
You're
could have
right.
just been
Sorry, yeah.
like, "I'm just gonna wheel
Janie,
this thing out."
Janie. You're talking about something that isn't the Empire of
I
Death.
know,
So you don't need to go in a.
I'm so sorry. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna have to ban you from
I'm
talking
just
about that
saying.
story until
I'm just
it
saying,
comes around.
why couldn't he have just it's on casters, he could just wheeled it out into Unit HQ and been like, he's got a ramp now. He could have just wheeled it out and been like, guys, let's just watch this a minute.
We'll
And
have to assume that at
that's
some
all I'm
point it
saying.
broke.
That's
At
all I'm
some
saying.
point it broke.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
um,
anyway.
did you watch this episode on iPlayer or on DVD?
I watched it on iPlayer.
Did you notice something about the time space visualizer sequence on iPlayer?
Yes,
You did.
I did. Hmm.
The fucking Beatles have been removed.
Do you know what? I actually hadn't noticed, but as we were just
Ah,
talking about it, all the little when you said, "Did you like watching all the little bits?" I was thinking, where were the Beatles?
the so in the original episodes, the Vicky turns it to the Beatles,
Mhm.
and they have that whole thing about, oh yeah, I love ancient music, me and the Beatles. Uh, there's your Vicky
That was a
impression.
really good impression.
Thank you. I
You're
kind of like that.
welcome.
It's a shame that they've obviously had to remove it because the Beatles publishers, whoever owns the music now,
Oh,
is
do you reckon?
pissy as fuck about
Wow.
letting
That is a
that
shame.
is what's happened
Yeah.
because for when they animated Evil of the Daleks, there's a scene with some Beatles music playing in the background. They had to very carefully Mark Ayres, whoever, had to really carefully re-edit the entire
Oh,
scene
what a
to remove the Beatles
shame.
music, and then look at The Devil's Chord where they couldn't use any Beatles music.
Yes.
Um, but it's especially a shame here because number one, I think it's fun seeing, considering Vicky's from the future, when she looks at
Mm.
contemporary Earth stuff and she's like, oh, like when they're in New York and she's like, oh, it's ancient New York, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's a fun thing, like a fun perspective with her.
Yeah,
And the
definitely.
Beatles Memorial Museum that she bangs on about. But also, fun fact about that sequence is the clip that they use of the Beatles playing in Top of the Pops. That performance that they used in Doctor Who is the only clip they have of that performance, and
Oh.
it's only survived because it was used in Doctor Who.
Oh.
So you'd think that maybe they would have given it a little leeway to keep it in, but
Yeah.
no, they had to
Oh, what a
remove it for
shame.
copyright.
What a
It's a shame.
shame. It
Anyway,
is a shame,
we've
actually.
it's a shame. Anyway, there's
Mm.
that sequence, and then we end up on the planet Iridius,
Yes.
where, if I'm frankly honest, the action doesn't quite kick off. We get some running around and some sand. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me have my
Got some
notes here.
statues that we never find out about.
I don't think they're supposed to be statues. I think they're dried seaweed,
Yeah, I was thinking, are they supposed to be coral?
which makes sense because or coral, which makes sense because
But
it used to be the
they did
ocean.
when
Yeah,
they came out of the TARDIS, they were like, "Oh, look at the statues." And it's like, it's
could
never
have just been a
really
mistake. You know, Hartnell
well,
needs his
maybe.
monocle to see and shit. Uh,
Maybe.
but
Yeah, I did assume last night when I watched it, I thought, "Oh, well, it must be like coral or something
yeah, something like
sea-ish."
that is what I
Yeah.
pass it off as.
Mm,
Um, but at this point, the story does feel a little slow because they're still waiting for the main thing to kick off. Uh,
mm.
we get a little funny bit where the Doctor and Barbara are sunbathing, and there's like that bit where Hartnell's singing, and Barbara's like, "What is that awful noise?" And he's hearing like time space visualizer flicking away, and he's like, "Ah, you can't shape it. You can't talk about my singing like that,
Oh, that was really good. That was a really good
Paddy."
impression. Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't have a lot to say about like even just in general the Iridia stuff
Yeah, the
is
first part is it's like you say, like, it's built even though we know what's going to happen, because in the first scene we see the Daleks, it is very much like building up.
and we get the 2 minutes of them watching the Daleks on the screen and the um it's a good scene, the bit where the Supreme Daleks
Yeah.
be explaining what they're gonna do and all this stuff.
Mm.
Though some of the dialogue is apart from exterminate, some of the dialogue is a bit you
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
they just chant TARDIS over and over again. TARDIS,
It's
TARDIS,
great, it's
TARDIS,
great.
TARDIS, TARDIS. Is that like you think this is one of the few times where you just get to see the Daleks vibing in their own environment?
They're
And so do
mental,
you think they
yeah.
just chant words over and over again? What are we gonna have for dinner? Dinner, 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 dinner.
Oh god. Yeah, it's alright though.
Yeah.
It's a
Do you
that
want to
bit's
hear
a
a
little bit
fun fact?
cheesy, but yeah, got
Not a
always.
fun fact about the episode, a fun fact about me
Oh,
and this episode.
yeah.
I like how, like, oh, I watched this episode for the first time when I was really young,
Yes.
and all I cared about was Daleks.
Mhm.
I would wanted to watch this episode because of the Daleks were in it. But I've become quite savvy about the whole not showing up till the end of part 1 thing.
Mhm.
So when I watched The Chase for the first time, I skipped the entire first episode until the Dalek
Oh,
comes out of the
Ragnarok.
sand, thinking that's when the Daleks show up for the first time in the episode.
Oh.
So I spent a good while being completely unaware of that sequence, and even longer being unaware of the Dalek at the very start.
Oh, you're a fool.
Like, it was maybe a few years after I saw The Chase where I
You thought you were
actually said, "You
too
know, I'm gonna watch
clever.
the whole thing for the first time," and I put it on and the Dalek shows up, and I'm like, "Oh."
God.
Wow. What happened with Planet of the Daleks as well? I switched it off after the Thousley, thinking that was it, and then there's like a whole little bit where the Doctor and Jo
Yeah.
get chased, which I didn't see for years because of that.
Mm.
Anyway, how do you
That
feel
bit,
about the TARDIS
the
in
d
like not as a concept because we've talked about it as a concept, but actually as like
like, the design
the
or
design of it? Yes,
I think it's alright. I mean, the door coming out of the back of it, which is very obvious in the first part,
I've
is,
written that it's shit, Jane. Mainly because of things like that, like, I actually looked into how the whole prop works, and what it essentially is it's 4 panels, 4 flat panels of wood bolted together in a sort of cross shape,
Yeah.
um, and that's what it is, and then they use the doors to kind of hide to
It's
hinge out and hide
basically a
gaps.
it's basically a revolving door that doesn't
It's basically
revolve.
a revolving like, the inside of a revolving door without
Yeah.
the tube on the outside is what it
Yeah.
is.
Nice.
And they tried to be very clever with it and save money, but it just ends up
You
looking
know what?
stupid,
I
and you
don't
can
mind it,
there are
although
more than one time you can see right through the TARDIS, and you can
yeah,
see, like, the back of the set and everything.
yeah.
And
I
when
love
Daleks are coming out of it, there's so many times where you can see a Dalek inside waiting for its cue to come outside as well. And
my favourite thing has always
yeah,
been they did it in, Power of the Daleks, they did it in this. I'm sure they've done it in other episodes as well, where the Daleks go in and then they come back round
and they
and they
just
go
do a
back
big
in.
circle, and
Yeah,
they,
to
like,
make it look
make it
like
look
there's
like a
loads,
constant chain of
and
Daleks.
it's
Like, they
always
did it
really
in
obvious, but
they
it
did
was
it in Day of the
really
Daleks as
obvious.
well, didn't they, when they come out that tunnel, and it's just
Oh, did they?
the same Dalek and the 2, like, Oberon just coming out over and over again.
Which I love because, I love,
Yeah.
like, watching, like, shaky sets and stuff. I
Well,
love all
this
that shit
story in
stuff.
general is prime for it because there are so many mistakes in this story.
Mm,
And like, I suppose the Hartnell era in general does have more fluffs and things than other eras, but The Chase especially was quite a troubled production in terms of the blocking of film, like shooting, like the blocking of the cameras and everything.
mm.
There are a lot of times where you accidentally see a crew member, or
Oh.
you might not have picked it up as much as me, and it's only really in this watch where I noticed as many as I did.
Mm,
I don't know why, but I spotted a lot of it this time, like, in the haunted house episode, which we'll get to as well, there's a car honking outside. Honk,
oh.
honk. Anyway, it's a trouble production, and I suppose you can't fault it too heavily just because they were low on cash, and
Yeah,
television was different back then, like, how they treated it. They didn't have as much like in like compared to films where they would
mm,
be so to the point with everything and have every detail and movement immaculately blocked out. There wasn't so
yeah.
much of that in classic Doctor Who or just television, BBC television, at the
Well,
time.
and it's like they literally filmed it, like, that week. So, it's
Yeah.
sort of like, yeah, they didn't have the time to they didn't have the time, they didn't have the money to go back
Mhm.
and fix these things.
Apparently, they were only allowed 3 edits an episode.
Oh, really?
So, in terms of, like, cuts, retake 3
Mm,
retakes, should I say. So, they could only do it 3 times. If
yeah.
they exceeded that, or if they were worried that they'd need to save them, then that's why so many, like, fluffs with
Mm.
lines, and
But I
that's why
kind of
it's
love
staying.
that, I'm not gonna lie. I
I
kind of
suppose it
love
gives it a
that.
charm, and I was thinking when I was watching it, I don't wanna try and deduct from the story too much because it was just a reality of the production at the time that
Yeah.
these things happened, and you can see crew members and and things. Uh, and holes cut out in sets for cameras to stick through as well.
Oh, really?
There is some of that. Yeah, I definitely fault the new series when that happens because it's
Mm,
modern television, you should fucking know by now.
yeah.
But I'll be more generous with especially those older ones.
Mm.
But nevertheless, I think the TARDIS does look shit, and there's times where the doors don't close properly and they swing out by accident, and there's just so many things like and there's times where Daleks get stuck in it as well. Like, I'm really I'm really impressed that they managed to get them all in for that first episode
Right.
because there's so many times and later on where they get stuck when
They
they're
get
like
stuck.
leaving somewhere and they just you know. So
Well,
yeah,
I've never really minded it, but it's good to know that you absolutely despise it.
the look of the TARDIS is stupid. Yeah, um, and the idea is stuff. One thing I do like is sticking to the Daleks, and I suppose moving the story along is when the Dalek comes out of the sand at the end
That is
for that first
iconic.
cliffhanger. It's
It's
iconic. They
brilliant.
used a model Dalek for it.
Mm.
Uh, Apparently they did try and do it with like a full size prop, but the
Yeah,
shoot went tits up. So model it is.
I love it.
Um,
That is probably one of my earliest memories of, well, ever, but
Why?
particularly of Doctor Who. Yeah,
Of
because I
that
remember
Dalek coming out the sand?
watching yeah, I remember watching that when I was really, really young.
Hmm,
So that is probably one of my earliest sort of memories of television, is seeing that.
That's yeah, that's a fun fact, isn't it?
I suppose so, yeah. No, I
Because
love
I
it, I
remember
love it.
asking you what your earliest memory was. That was in
Did
the
I
original
say
Adric
something
cast.
else? I probably said something else,
No, you
but
didn't specify. You were like, "I've just had so
oh,
many memories of Class of Doctor Who." But now we found it. There you go.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's a cool model shot. Sometimes model shots with Daleks don't work very well, in my opinion.
No,
Uh,
but I
but
still love them all.
this one does work really well, and
Well, the
model that they
eye
did like
works and everything, it moves about.
it
That is
does. And
brilliant.
do you know that that model still exists
I did
today?
know that actually.
And it's in a museum somewhere, I think in Bradford or
Oh, is
Manchester or
it?
something. I think it's in a museum of moving image, I think.
Mm,
I could be very wrong. It is in a museum somewhere, and not only is it in, like, pristine condition, it actually still works, so the
yeah,
Dalek still moves its eye and everything,
that's
which
brilliant.
is brilliant. I do
Mm.
need to see it one day. I think it was getting sold at one point,
Oh, right.
but obviously, it wasn't bought by a private collector, it was bought by a museum for
Mm.
everyone to see and enjoy, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cool to have that. Also, while we're talking about it, even though it's much later on in the story, that little model mechanoid that appears,
What,
um,
on the bridge, on the
on the
little
bridge,
yeah.
that is the only surviving screen-used mechanoid.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Raymond
God.
Cusick kept it for himself, and
Mm.
obviously he's not around anymore, but yeah, the little model mechanoid is still
Oh,
knocking
what a
about.
shame.
Yeah, we'll talk about the mechanoids a little bit more later on, in fact, a lot
Mhm.
more later on
Mhm.
because I love mechanoids, but,
Yeah.
moving on to episode 2 of Doctor Who, this is when we're still on Iridius, and we get to meet fish people
Fish
who
people, yeah.
I'm not quite into, to be honest. I don't know how you feel about the
Um,
Iridians.
I've got nothing against them,
I mean,
personally.
like, as they're written and stuff is fine, but they are blokes in leotards
I think they're
doing,
quite good
like,
costumes,
funny
actually, for
like,
the 60s.
whenever they get into, like, a altercation or something, they have this, like, funny pose where they, like, stick their
Mm.
hands out, like, a bit magician-y, you know what I mean? And waggle their
Sort
fingers a
of.
bit, go, "Ooh."
I have to say, I think they are really good costumes. Because there's no, like, you don't see a seam or anything, do you? You don't see
They did do
where the
very well with,
costume
like, the
stops and they begin.
headpieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah, it's classic Doctor Who, what can you do?
I quite like them.
I think that they are kind of wet wipes, though, in terms
Oh.
of they don't ever stand up for themselves at all
Oh, no, like,
for
as a
anyone.
character, like, they're not the best, but I think
They
as a
absolutely give
look
in to the Daleks without a second thought,
yeah,
um,
but I think they
and they
look very good.
just die at the end as well, they just all die.
Yeah. Well, there
And
we
the
go.
Doctor and his friends do not give a flying fuck as
No, well,
well.
they've gotta go. They've got a 12-minute lead. Off they
They've got
go.
a 12, off they go, but they don't even
Sorry,
say
guys.
anything. And I don't have the impression it was they've forgotten. I think it's Hartnell or the Doctor was very pissed off by
Well,
them
yeah, to be fair, they
giving
were
into the
gonna
Daleks.
yeah, they were
So
gonna
he's like,
give
"Oh,
them
fuck them
up.
then. Well, screw them then.
Tit for tat.
You can get eaten by a really shit Mire Beast or
Yeah.
exterminated by a Dalek."
Again, I didn't mind the Maya Beast. I think you
One of
need to
my
lower
shit
your
one
expectations.
of my notes is just I have no words for the Mire Beast.
Oh,
So there,
okay.
no words. If I'm honest, episode 2, yeah, it's not the best episode out of these 6.
It's
I think
not, although I think it's it might be episode 1 actually, and I might have missed it. It does, um create one of my favourite things in all of Doctor Who and has always been a massive I remember being absolutely obsessed with this when I was
mhm,
a kid watching it, and it is the Dalek with the seismic detector attachment. I was
that's episode 2, yeah.
obsessed. I was obsessed with that as a kid. Absolutely
Damn,
obsessed.
that is a really niche thing.
I think it's really cool.
I've got an Eagle Moss one up here somewhere.
Do you?
Because they did release the Seismic Dalek.
Mm.
In fact, they really went to town on the chase with, like, figurines because they've got the one with the big dish
Mhm.
as well, like the Electro Dalek, and then we're gonna talk about them in a minute. There's also some other Daleks that show up in the chase, aren't there?
Yes, there
There
are.
is.
There
And I
are.
have got all the behind the scenes deets to explain
Oh.
these movie Daleks as well.
Mhm.
It's all
Oh,
because of the
you ruined the
Termination Army, really.
surprise. The
What?
movie Daleks? Ugh, the movie
Movie
Daleks,
Daleks?
guys.
The first time I watched The Chase, I didn't notice the movie Daleks. They're not in it very much at all, quite
No,
frankly, are
they're
they?
in it more without their base, just sort of
They're
standing
actually only in
there.
it for one scene without their base.
Yes, which I've always
Um,
hated that. Like, why they
the
can't
reason
move.
why that happened was because they only had 4 proper Daleks for this
Mm.
series, or for the serial, sorry. And when the director, Richard Martin, realized that they just finished shooting that the movie was still gonna take a while to get released. The Chase actually came out before
They
Doctor
only
and the
had
Daleks.
4 Daleks.
They only had 4 Daleks.
That's a
They
lot. I
built
saw 8
6,
go
2
into
of
that TARDIS. I saw 8 of them. That
aren't
is
you
a
clever?
lie.
You didn't
Thank
see 8
you.
of them, you
Thank
saw
you so
6 of
much.
them going into
Thank
that
you so
TARDIS.
much.
You saw 6
Oh,
of them, and I'll
sorry.
explain. God, I'm just gonna get my virginity back again
Oh,
from the fucking nerdiness that
okay.
I'm going through.
Okay, there we go then.
I
That
I
was
I just
not a line I
realized that I
expected to
said
hear.
again.
Is that
I
the
said
quote
again
of this
because I've
week?
made that joke before, but I haven't
Have
made it
you?
on the podcast.
Oh god,
So the joke
that's the
is that
quote.
if you get that so nerdy about something, you regain your virginity.
Oh, okay then. That's nice. That's not something
This
I've
is a
heard before.
this has got to be the dirtiest Adric cast
Oh,
we've done so far.
100%.
This is
100%.
fucking filthy. We were talking about seismic detectors, pro Daleks, and this is where we've gone. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a cool Dalek. Um,
It is a cool Dalek.
and it appears in Master Plan as well for a bit.
What,
Uh,
with the thing?
it does,
Does it?
and it appears in one of the surviving episodes of it. Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, it's cool. It's like a gyroscopy thing as well, isn't
Yeah.
it?
I always thought it was a
But
clock, but
overall,
yeah.
episode 2 doesn't really get interesting until the last 5 minutes when they do the
Yeah.
tricking the Dalek, and you
Mhm.
get that beloved line of "You, Archie."
Yeah, what was all that
Um,
about?
I think at this point the characters were just a bit like, "Oh, fuck's sake, it's the Daleks.
Yeah.
No, look at them." They're not even that worried anymore. They're just like,
Mhm.
"Oh, just taking the piss a bit," you know?
Brilliant.
And I also just realized that Ian gets knocked on the head at the start of this episode, and it's not
Yes.
until he, like, peeks his head up and sees the Dalek guarding the TARDIS that he is made aware. that
Mm.
there even are Daleks, but he seems so unfazed by it. Like, he's just like,
Yeah.
"A
He's
Dalek."
like, "Oh, it's them."
You know? Alright. While the other characters are a bit alarmed by them, Ian Chesterton couldn't give less of a fuck.
He just thought it was that one from the Space Museum. He just thought they'd
So,
brought it with them. He was like,
yeah.
"Oh, it's that. Oh,
Oh,
okay."
alright. Uh, but yeah, we move on to the 3rd episode.
We
This
do.
might be my favorite episode in the chase.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's yours, but
It's not.
I do enjoy Flight Through Eternity is the name of the 3rd episode, I think.
Oh,
Is it? I can't
I
remember
don't
the
know.
name of the
I can't
episodes.
remember. It's The Chase.
Give me
It's
a minute.
part 3.
Minute. Give me a minute. I've got a book here. Wait, flicking through, flicking through. Here you go. Yeah, Flight Through Eternity is the 3rd episode. You got the Executioners,
Nice.
Death of Time, Flight Through Eternity, Journey into Terror, the
Mhm.
Death of Doctor Who, and then the Planet of Decision.
Oof.
Uh,
That's a lot.
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Um, but yeah, it's weird talking about it like this as well because indeed most classic Doctor Who stories just referred to as one title.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, the 3rd one's my favorite because I don't know. I don't know. I just like they don't really focus on a particular place in this episode, do they? They just pop about a bit.
Mm.
We get those movie Daleks without their bases.
Mhm.
Uh Mainly because the director noticed a massive fucking height difference and just like, well, I guess we'll remove the bases, but we
Yeah.
don't have enough
Get
money
rid
to
of the
build new
base.
bases. They did replace the lights
Yes,
on
they
them, so
did,
they've got the
to
egg cup
normal ping
lights.
pong, whatever they are, yeah.
Egg cups.
Sorry, look, I'm so sorry that I don't
But
always get everything right.
they don't quite work so well because of the fact that they haven't got their bases and no one can move
Yeah,
them, and they
no.
just
It
yeah.
ruins the illusion for me
And
a
they're
little
still a
bit.
bit too different from because yeah, they're different colours and they haven't got the
They've got the
slats and
horizontal, yeah. Mm.
yeah, I mean, yeah. I guess it's tough because they had budget and they just needed more Daleks, and Daleks were there to
Mm.
borrow. Interestingly, the 3 movie Dalek props that they borrowed for this, uh, they had to get returned back to the movie company quite
Mm.
swiftly afterwards because they were given away as competition prizes.
Oh, nice.
Um, they were repainted as movie like they rebuilt and repainted to look like the black Dalek and the red Dalek and then a silver Dalek,
Nice.
and they were given away. One of them was probably sold quite dodgily
Mm.
by the dad of one of the kids who won it, and the other
Right.
2 were totally destroyed.
Oh, that's a shame.
One of them thrown on top of a bonfire.
Nice. Nice.
So there you are. But one of them might still be out there if it was sold dodgily
It
somewhere, you
might
never know.
be.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we get a bit of New York
we do
in
get a bit of
episode
New
3.
York.
I know you said you weren't fussed about it because it's a bit
Mm.
jarring, but I enjoy that scene very much.
Okay,
Mainly down
why?
to the ridiculous pantomime level of acting provided by a jump scare Peter Purvis, who I wasn't expecting when I first saw the story as a kid.
No.
I knew it was Stephen's first story, and I think I'd seen stuff with Stephen before. So when Peter Purvis shows up as an Alabama local, yeah, I'm like, what the
Yeah,
fuck
that
is up with Stephen?
accent is just
Why is
tone it
Stephen
down a notch
American?
or 10. Is there a quote unquote
Oh no,
canon
but
reason
no.
that he's in that bit and the end
Well, he's
and the
different
following
characters,
episodes? Yes, yes, yes. But is
obviously.
there like an actual reason?
That they
Like,
look alike, or that
well, just,
the
well,
or
sort
that
of
they
both.
employed
Like,
Peter
is there a
Purvis.
little like Danny Pink sort of his descendant is also in the episode kind of thing going on, or
It's certainly not an established fact, but you could
no,
say
and
that.
I don't
Uh,
mean like something that they planned, but I mean like is there like a widely accepted headcanon that people have come up with since?
I think what you just said there, that Morton Dill, as the character's called, is
Oh,
just a very early descendant. Not a descendant because
An
Stephen's the descendant.
ancestor. Yeah.
He's an ancestor of
Right.
Stephen, I guess,
Okay.
is the headcanon, because that does make sense. Stephen's from way far in the future,
Yeah.
that he could have a ancestor from 1960s Alabama.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
my
very good.
God, I know it's fucking ridiculous, but some
It
of the stuff he
is.
says is just like when the TARDIS shows up and Barbara comes out and she's like, and she starts talking with him and she's like, "Oh, you're from Earth." And he's like, "No, ma'am, I'm from Alabama." He doesn't
Oh
know what Earth
god.
is.
Oh god. My
Oh.
favourite thing about the scene, actually rewatching it, is, the sort of loose canon that Russell came up with in, Rusty Davies 1 about,
Mhm.
the Daleks in Manhattan, about, the TARDIS. Oh, I hate saying that.
We're gonna have to say it though. We've said it too many times to change it.
About the TARDIS landing on the Empire State Building, and then
Mm.
that being kept in the Dalek memory banks as a safe place to, emergency temporal shift to. That's my
Yeah,
favourite
though
loose
I don't
cannon.
know if they can control. Can they control where they emergency temporal shift?
Well,
Ah,
he seemed to say that they or suggest that they did.
I
He
mean,
said
yeah,
that all those years ago in the chase when they landed there, he said that in his mind he thought that the Daleks sort of hid that away, that location away in their memory banks. And when it came for them time for them to escape to
mm,
somewhere,
they
that's
needed
where
to
they
hide
went.
away on Earth. Yeah,
Yeah. I really like that. I really like that.
it is coherent in that sense, but
Yeah.
also it is a very famous landmark in a very famous city. So hiding away
Yeah,
there is.
of course. Yeah, of course. Of course, but I do really like that.
Have you ever been?
I haven't. No, I've not been to New York.
I've
Have you?
had the pleasure of visiting the Empire State Building. Yes.
Is it overrated?
Uh, well, everything is
That's
overrated in
yes.
New York, but
Right.
when I went, it was really quiet.
Oh, was it?
There wasn't a lot of people. I almost didn't
Oh.
realize what building I was standing right next to,
Oh.
and then I
Did you
went
go up it?
inside. I didn't go up it. No, you have to
Oh.
pay to go up it. But I did go inside, and I saw like that big Empire State mural that
Mm.
it shows up in Elf quite a lot. That one,
I love that we're referencing Elf.
but
Brilliant.
it just means you know exactly what I'm on about in terms of
Yeah,
like
no,
a
I
big
know
like relief,
exactly.
that big bronze relief's in there, and I took pictures of that, and there was like no one else around. I'm like, Jesus, I thought this would be fucking littered with tourists, but no.
Yeah, no.
And then there was the whole, like, bottom of the Empire State Building is just shops and shit, like, high
So if
street
you didn't
shops.
go up it, you can't verify whether the bit in Elf where he is in the lift, you can't verify if the buttons are in the shape of the Empire State Building.
I can't. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
what are you here for?
I know.
Oh, okay,
But
well.
and also I couldn't go and see the balcony where the chase happens.
And
Uh,
you couldn't see the Dalekanium on the very top of the spire
I
either.
couldn't.
Oh
But I
god.
did get closer to their base underneath because
Did
there's
you?
like an underneath the Empire State Building, it's an underground Starbucks.
Oh, is it?
Uh,
Oh,
I should
nice.
point out that this was a few years ago, so I don't use
Right.
Starbucks these days, but this was a while back.
Uh.
Uh, but yeah, and I went in the Starbucks and I just sat in there having a coffee, being like, "This is where the darlings."
I mean, I don't know if it actually is, but it's
In
nice
my
that you
mind,
thought that.
I felt I'm like, "I'm under it.
You
I'm
were
under
just
the
in there
building. This is
sipping
where
your
it is."
pumpkin spice latte, thinking,
I don't
"Why are
like
there
pumpkin spice
bodies attached to
lattes.
the ceiling?"
It was an iced coffee. It was
Oh, was
warm.
it? An iced pumpkin spice latte. Why are there bodies on the ceiling? What's going on here?
In my head canon, that big
Hmm,
space under the Empire State Building in the
mhm.
1950s that just ended up empty, Starbucks moved in and turned it
Nice,
into.
yeah. It does sound like something Starbucks might do,
It
I
anyway,
imagine.
enough of that. Get all of that scene, and then the ridiculous. Like, it's not just the Alabama. Like, there's that tour guide as well, who's like, at the top of the Empire State Building, the biggest building in the entire world.
Oh, that was very good, actually.
Well, I'm doing a shitty impression of someone else who's doing a shitty impression,
I
so
think your
it kind
Australian
of
accent is the best in your arsenal.
I never used it on the podcast so far, so
Oh, was that not? Oh, yeah, no, of course, no, no.
did you think that there was Australian?
No, 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 no.
That was
It's just a little
Italian
jest, a little
American,
jest,
a little chest, right?
just a little jest.
Right. We've talked way too much about a scene that lasts about 3 minutes.
Yeah, and it's not
Something that I
even a good
noticed,
one.
I think it's a funny one.
Well,
I think it's funny, and then them just reducing that guy to having a mental breakdown and
yeah,
people thinking he's gonna fucking jump off the
yeah, I
Empire
love that
State
line. Just make
Building.
sure he doesn't jump off.
Jump but
Jesus.
also, actually, the Doctor and that are dicks because they
Yeah,
knew fine and well that the Daleks were gonna land, and they didn't say, "Oh, by the way,
yeah,
there's
be
these evil
careful.
space Nazis coming, you better make
Evil
yourself
space
scarce." They just
Nazis.
left him there to face the Daleks. And also,
God.
when he does face the Daleks and he annoys one a bit, uh, it
Yes.
makes it pushes it presses its plunger in an uncomfortable place on his
Oh,
body.
all right, Katie Manning.
Like,
Can you do in your best Alabama accent, they just left?
they just left.
That was quite good,
Sweet
actually.
home Alabama.
Uh, anyway, let's move on.
Anyway, I'm surprised the Daleks didn't kill him before they left as well,
Yeah, I'm
actually.
really surprised.
He got off lucky. Not just like just because he's a bit annoying. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, what's gonna happen? He just dies. That's it. There you go.
yeah.
Leave. Anyway, they make their
Anyway,
way to Mary Celeste next.
which I love this bit. I actually
I
really
like.
love it.
I'm into like old boats and stuff. So
You're
yeah, it's
into
different.
boats.
I'm not into boats, but the vibes are like sailing and stuff.
You
Uh,
love sailing, don't you?
I've never actually sailed.
You
Uh,
not?
no, I've
That
been offered,
surprises
but I
me. I don't know
haven't.
why. I
Mm.
feel like
Yeah,
everyone in Scotland's been
there's enough
sailing.
time for. There's plenty of time. Oh, I forgot to mention with the New York scene that Hartnell
Oh,
says the thing.
what thing?
It's the chase, you know.
What he says, it's the chase.
He says it's the chase. Yes.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, it
No, he
does. Before he
doesn't.
gets to the TARDIS, he's like, "We've got to go
No.
away." It's the chase, you know.
No,
He
he does
he
not
does.
say that.
Yes, he
Oh my,
does.
no, he
You need to
doesn't.
go. He says the name of the episode. He says it to Mortondale. He says it's the chase.
So to Weird Alabama Peter is like, "What episode am I watching?" He's like, "It's the chase." He does not say it's the chase.
We've got to get going. It's the chase.
Gonna
Yeah.
get going. Oh god. Oh god.
I'm,
Oh, I
I'm,
didn't pick up on that. I must have blocked it out. It's the chase. Oh,
you've got to watch that scene
I
again
don't want to.
because he 100% says it's the chase. You know.
Oh god.
Anyway, back to Mary Celeste.
Yeah,
There's something I don't like in a Mary Celeste,
right.
and that is the incredibly creepy crewman who tries to thingamy Barbara.
Yeah, I picked up on that for the first time on this rewatch, where like I was watching it and I thought he's definitely like trying to assault her
I mean, when I first watched as
sexually.
a young one, I just thought, oh, he's mad because he's found an intruder, and he's
Yeah, I thought he's like
a bit
angry, but
violent
no,
because of
he's
that.
definitely
He's
like,
like, "I've got you, my beauty."
yeah.
He says stuff like that, and there is the implication that
Well, and I feel like
he's
he
got some
definitely says
malicious
something that
intent.
made me like really sit up last night, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I
Yeah, I know.
never. Yeah,
It's
it's not
crazy.
great. Yeah,
There's also the bit where Vicky hits him on the head.
which actually, in hindsight, I really like that bit a lot more now.
Well, she doesn't even like. There's like no force in that hit. It's like if
It's
you
called
just move your
acting,
arm
darling.
in
It's
that
called acting.
direction, like if you just swing your arm gently, that's exactly what she did. Like there
It's
is
called
no
acting. It's the chase, you know.
it's the chase. But then when it's Ian's turn, she fucking properly goes for it. Like when when she's hitting
Some
the ring,
off-screen drama.
it's a little bit of It's just a little tap. It's very unrealistic.
Oh
And then the
god.
Ian one, bonk.
Ian's had a
Second time he
lot
gets
of
bonked
yeah, yeah,
in the story.
and Vicky was there on both occasions. What does that tell you?
I mean,
God.
surely Ian must have been suffering from a concussion at this point, you
Just
know?
in time for the next one.
Just in time when they're going around the
Ah.
haunted house and he's like, "What do you think, Ian?" He's like, "Oh, can't see it."
Oh god. Oh god.
But yeah, I think
Oh,
the Mary Celeste thing, apart from that, dude, it's a cool idea to
I
explain
love it.
how the mystery of that ship because yeah, it's
Yeah,
fun when
I
a Doctor Who
always love
tries
it
to
when they
fill in
try
the
to
blanks of
explain.
history.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
and it does mean we get a Dalek going into the water, which is funny.
Yeah.
But actually, everyone jumping into the water, number one, it does make sense that
Well,
that's what would
doesn't it?
happen because, I mean, they're people from whatever year the Mary Celeste was, they wouldn't have any idea how to comprehend a Dalek. So, no wonder
No,
they
but
fucking
it's like the unknown, isn't it? So would they not just be like, "I have never ever seen something like this. What the fuck is it? Off we go."
yeah. But
I
it's
think you're
actually kind
thinking
of
too much into
disturbing
it. Yeah, well,
because
it
there's a
is.
bit where a woman with her infant child jumps into the
I
water.
think you actually mean, the wife of Captain Briggs and their two-year-old daughter.
You're right, actually,
That's who
and
I
presumably
assume it is, 'cause I've obviously read up on this in preparation.
or you just know the Legend of the Mary Celeste very
I
well.
just know everything about it, it's so
Yeah.
tragic.
But yeah, like what we're seeing in that moment is a baby, a mother and
Yeah,
her baby going
drowning.
to their deaths. Yeah,
Well, like, when you also
and
think,
it's
like
played for laughs.
when you also think not a lot of people knew how to swim back then, like,
But
it's
definitely not a fucking baby.
no, and it's sort of like a large percentage of those people had no idea how to even tread water. So you're just watching people die. Brilliant, great
The funny
TV.
thing is, I suppose you can't expect them not to run away from the Daleks, but if they hadn't,
Yeah, well,
and
and
they'll
it's also like, do we want to watch a baby getting exterminated more than we
consider
want
well,
to watch it
considering they let
drown?
the annoying Morton Dill off, I wonder if they were just gonna be like, "Where are the time travelers? They're not here. Okay, bye," and then they just leave, you know, because they don't actually kill anyone.
No,
They just like, "Wait, wait, where are you going?"
just these silly humans overreacting.
Just, "Are you spending too much on your
But
cash?"
also, I love the commitment of that Dalek. It's like a Jehovah's Witness. "Have you heard of our Lord and Saviour?" Like, jumping over the edge, like,
What?
will not give up, will not like he is
It's like
chasing them down no matter the cost.
obviously, Daleks have no concept of what the fucking ocean is. Yeah.
No, well, I guess not.
I guess not.
I guess not.
Um, so yeah, that's it's my favorite part, and that's my favorite episode in this story, because yeah, I don't know, just always has been. Anyway, Journey into Terror, the fourth
Yes,
part,
the haunted house.
the haunted house. It's actually a bit creepy.
Yeah, I always remember being really terrified of it as a child, like, really
Like
scared.
that is that like there's that bit where they overlay like the old woman over Ian. That's like quite a
Yes.
creepy moment.
What, the screaming
Uh,
woman?
Well, all of this time that I've watched The Chase, like, I've watched it a few times over the years, God knows, since I was young, I have no idea what she is screaming.
I think I've worked it out. I think she's shouting a shielder. So, little link there to series 9. I think that's what she's screaming. Not intentionally, but that's what I'm picking up on.
But it's something like, "Ah,
A
Viva!
shielder! It's a shielder. Come on.
Ah,
You know what?
Shielder!"
Doctor Who lays these little seeds. Sometimes they sprout,
Tell you
sometimes
what,
it
though,
takes
at
40
least
years.
she's got a talking role, but she doesn't really have to worry about learning her lines too
No.
much. Uh,
No.
Rosalind de Winter, I think, plays Screaming Woman in that story. How do I know that? I don't know. I
I don't
just
know
remember
either.
it.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, it's a fun episode. It's spooky mainly because I think the vibes do it a lot of favors, like the black and white and that incidental
Yes.
music that they're
Oh,
playing and all that stuff.
100%.
It's scary,
Yeah.
but it's also fucking hilarious as well. This story
Yes.
for multiple reasons. One of them is the fact that it is ultimately like a fake haunted house,
Mhm.
but yet every single character and the Daleks themselves scared. Like, 'cause the Daleks get scared towards the end as well, they're like, "We should embark. Yes, 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 embark,
So what
embark,
I
embark."
need to know, these monsters that are in it, like
Mhm.
Dracula, the Screamer, are they like robots or something?
Yes, because they are
Okay.
able to get exterminated and not
Yes, that's
die.
what I'm thinking. So they're not just like actors. Well, they are,
Mhm.
but they're not
They
supposed
are.
to be like actors. It's the chase, don't you know? They're not supposed to be like actors.
Let's dive into behind the scenes again because I don't think people have been bored enough buying my time. The intention with this episode was that it was a real haunted house. And
Right.
that thing that the doctor comes up with, that theory about it, so many people dream about the typical haunted house that it's made it a
Mhm.
reality. That was what it was supposed to be.
Right.
Um, but then when it went to like the script editor, he's like, "That's fucking dumb. No, we're gonna add
Nice,
that little
okay.
bit at the end where it's haunted house in a theme park."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so actually, the idea behind Frankenstein getting exterminated and not dying
Mhm.
is that because he feeds off electricity, or like it's what energizes
Ah,
him. The Dalek shooting him
interesting.
makes him more powerful, and that's why he like gets up and stuff.
Oh. Yeah,
Apparently, like they were
because
supposed to meet the actual, because it's not Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein's monster, and then Frankenstein's
yes.
the guy who makes. Apparently, they were
Yeah,
going to meet Frankenstein, like the person.
the person.
He was gonna be in the lab working on Frankenstein, and then
Oh, that would have been
he gets
interesting.
exterminated, and then they try and exterminate the monster, but the monster wakes up from all the energy and becomes powerful enough to rip open Daleks.
Well, it's very convenient that that Dalek was always there.
It
It
was,
was
wasn't it?
always
Even
before
before
they'd
they landed.
landed. Where did it come it's always been there, and it was just sat
It's
there waiting for its
that is one
line.
of many major fluffs that come from this episode especially, but
Yeah,
it happens a few times where a Dalek accidentally gets in the background when it's not supposed to be
not
there.
supposed to be there yet.
I mean, there's lots of times in this where there's cameras in shot and there's shadows and
Mm,
extras hurrying past trying not to get noticed. This episode, especially Haunted House one's just absolutely infamous for it. And
yeah.
that thing with the Dalek getting stuck in the TARDIS happens in this episode
Oh, does
when
it?
they're running away and they're like, "Disembark, disembark, disembark." And he gets stuck, gets his Dalek bottom stuck in there.
Nice.
"I need a push, I need a push, I need a push."
Oh
Oh,
god.
then yeah, it's a funny episode.
Yeah.
There's something I noticed on this watch that I hadn't originally is when the Doctor and Ian are going down to the lab to see Frankenstein.
Hmm.
Ian's being like, "I'm not gonna lie, Doctor, it's a bit spooky," and the Doctor's like, "Ah, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. There's nothing to fear. We're absolutely fine." That's totally off. That's David Warner. No, I need to go for, "Yeah, we're totally fine, Chesterton. There's nothing to fear down here. Nothing to fear at all.
Oh
Oh, it's most
god.
interesting." And
Oh
then when
god.
Frankenstein wakes up, the Doctor just fucking does a 180 and just
Yeah.
leaves. He says, like, he just turns around and just like, "Fuck this, I'm gone." Leaves Ian and everything.
Oh god.
It's
Oh.
brilliant. It's so understated as a moment.
Yeah.
Like, there's not any emphasis on it, but just the way that Hartnell does it, because he has a straight face as well. But he just when as soon as he just turns. It's like, "No."
Oh god.
I think I didn't notice it before because the fucking Dalek in the background that does bother me.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't take my
Uh,
eyes off of it. It
no,
ruins it a
and
little bit.
you feel like surely they could have used one of their takes to retake that because it's so obvious,
And
And other times when
I
Daleks in the
also just think
background, it is a
how
bit
could
of a
you.
Where's Wally, blink and you'll miss it, or you have to
Yeah,
pause and spot
that's
it.
true.
But that time it's
It
in the
is
middle of the
right
screen.
there. It's, like, literally a foot away from them,
And they don't like
hidden by a
obviously they
gate.
can't hidden by a gate. Obviously they can't notice it because it's not in the scripts, but they would have surely have been like, "Oh, there's a Dalek over there," because it's
Yeah.
plain as day, plain as plain as day. Uh,
God.
yeah. That's all I think I can say on the Haunted House episode.
Yeah,
It's a funny one and a spooky one. And poor Vicky, just
it's
having the
separated.
worst time of her life.
Yeah.
And people missing their cues as well happens a lot, or waiting for their cues. Like there's a lot of shots in this where they'll just stand still and then suddenly they'll start moving because they're
Yeah,
still waiting in their queue. And it's anyway, we move on to Robot Doctor Who.
we do. The
Uh,
best
my
bit.
my notes are why the hell did they use the double for Hartnell in scenes where there aren't the two of them aren't needed
Yes,
together?
I picked up on that as well. I kept on
Uh,
watching bits and being like, "Well, why didn't they just use him?"
because they do use him for some of the shots as well. There are scenes where he's Hartnell's playing the robot Doctor Who, but
Yes, but
then
it's
there's
like
scenes where
there's
he isn't,
one. I think it's when
and
he
it's
comes
someone
out
else.
of the chamber that he's been made in. That's not Hartnell, I don't think.
It definitely isn't. And there's a
It's the
bit where
other
he's lured
actor.
Barbara away,
Yeah.
and they don't even bother trying to get Hartnell to dub his line. Like
But
the
this
heart,
bit.
like Barbara's like that they're looking for Ian, and Barbara's like, "Have you seen Ian?" And he's just like, "No,
Yeah. No.
oh, no, no."
The bit where he, like, steps out of his little fish tank and it's not Hartnell,
Oh,
but
there's
then
another mistake.
what?
Like the fish tank isn't a tank. Like it's just a door. Like there's a big empty space behind it, and you can actually see him get walking into position
Oh,
while
can
Vicky's
you?
doing her. Like you can see him getting up and getting into position to be. In fact, you can see him like walking around even further away, like grabbing his stuff.
Oh
Be like, right, I've got to
god.
get the kit and everything.
But it's like when he comes out of that and it's not him, and then he says a little line, and then it cuts to,
Just
like,
and of
a
course, they dub,
close-up,
and it is
and it
Hartnell in
is
the close
him,
up.
and I'm
Yeah,
like, "Well, what? What is
it's
going
also
on?"
it doesn't make sense because it not only does it really throw off the whole thing because
Mm.
like in the scenes where they're fighting and stuff is actually quite well blocked to make it
Yeah,
you
I
can't see
think
his
so as
face too
well.
well, and yeah, it looks like it's probably Hartnell, but in these ones it's so clearly not. And then they go to the effort of
Yeah.
dubbing over him, so he's saying the line and then Hartnell's dubbed, but the lines don't match up as well.
No.
And it must have taken them more effort to do that than it would have to just get William Hartnell to do the scene. It's so weird.
It has sort of
Conceptually, though, it
created,
is fun.
though. Yeah,
Mhm.
it has sort of created one of what I've realised is my favourite moments of this whole story, um,
Yeah.
which is one of the bits that William Hartnell didn't dub, and it was the other actor. Um, I'm gonna do this now, I'm just gonna do this in my generic old man
Just
voice that
do
I
it.
like to
Just do
do,
it.
is where he's standing there and he just goes, "Don't just stand there, Chesterton, that's the robot." That's my favourite line. It's my favourite line. I love it so much, and I rewatched it over and over again yesterday, and I don't know why, but I just love it. I love it, it's like a moment for me.
It's a moment.
I love it so
There are many little lines of dialogue, like the "No, I'm from Alabama" thing as well. Like, they're
yeah,
just I didn't pick them up until this watch through, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant."
yeah,
This is Terry Nation tapping into his comedic roots combined with a terrible production a terrible production because they had so many mistakes, and it's just the budget and everything, and
yeah.
timing probably. They probably didn't have a lot of time to make this. They just combined to make this very laughable.
I love it, I love it.
It's great.
I do love
Um,
it.
conceptually it's weird actually conceptually because the Daleks spend a lot of time, like, patrolling that jungle,
Mm.
And then they sort of send off the robot to do its own thing, and the
Yeah.
robot finds it, and the Dalek finds all the people, but the Daleks don't. Uh, it's weird. Um, like how
Sort
things
of.
how far away things are as well, because
Yeah.
sometimes it feels like the TARDIS and that is just outside of the cave where they
Mm.
spend a lot of the action, but it took them about 10 minutes from the start to find the cave.
Mm.
And like it's like it's a distance away is
Yeah.
the idea, but then sometimes it isn't a distance. So it's like the Game of Thrones thing where it took them a season to get from one place to another, and then suddenly they're
Yeah.
doing it in an episode. It's
5
it's a bit
minutes.
like that,
Yeah.
you know. So that's the thing. If you watch this episode very carefully as well, this is where you start to realize that some of the fabric, like the backdrops, are a bit transparent, and you can
All
see
right.
stuff through. This is where you can spot Daleks sitting, waiting to be the operators on a fag break, and the Daleks just sitting in a corner somewhere. And you realize how condensed this set is, and you can see the tar. There's a scene where a Dalek's supposed to be approaching um the cave, and it's got the
Yeah.
two movie Daleks behind it,
Yes.
which are in their they're in their final form. They're fully
Yeah.
formed.
Mhm.
And the TARDIS is right next to them, like the police box prop is
Yeah.
right next to them because yeah, because they never moved it, and they're actually not that like this is probably in like one big room that they've got all this jungle stuff.
Yeah. No, I
And
did
it's
notice that.
and the TARDIS as well is seen
Yes, the
in some
TARDIS.
backgrounds. I think this episode is probably my least favorite out of all of the six because it does get a bit distracting
Really?
and the plot doesn't move forward a lot, really.
Excuse me, there's a robot?
I know, but he only takes up half an episode
A
as
robot
well.
with a funny voice?
He only takes up half an episode.
That's because they're just so clever, though. They knew it was him.
Yes.
That's the robot. I
That's
love
the
it.
robot,
Don't
Chesterton.
just stand there, Chesterton. That's the robot.
Susan, look away. This might be
Yeah.
nasty.
It's taken me 26 years to work out what he's saying. I put the subtitle because I knew like the look away, this is gonna be nasty, but I've always thought, how do they know that that's the wrong one just from
Because he
hearing
calls her
that?
Susan by accident.
Because he says Susan. It's very it's kind of muffled a little bit.
Nevertheless, I think this
It's sort of a
episode is
bit
probably
like,
the
"Susan, look away, this is gonna be like." It's like,
well, it's because it is Hartnell saying it, but it's not very well recorded,
no.
and yeah,
When
I
there's a
think
lot going on, there's a
I
lot going
think
on.
the guy is saying the line as well. He's not just mouthing it, he's saying it, but they haven't
Mm,
removed him saying it, but they've dubbed Hartnell over it, so you get this
right.
combination of
Nice, a jigsaw of voices.
jigsaw voices
Nice.
is what you get. What a wonderful term.
Thank
But
you.
yeah, I think it does and, they spend a lot of time in that cave,
Yeah.
and they have a nap in
Don't
that
they
cave,
sleep?
which
Yeah, I
leads
was gonna
me
say they sleep. When they wake
the
up, it's
most
morning.
unrealistic sleeping I have ever seen because they just lie flat on, like, rock and dirt. They're not curled up or anything, they're, like, lying just flat, arms to the sides, like that.
Also, is when they sleep, is that before or after they meet the robot?
Robot Doctor Who, it's after,
Oh, the robot
'cause
is
the
after,
robot
is
doc
it?
the robot is before the sleeping.
Right, okay, so they know the
Sorry.
Daleks are there, they've killed the
Yes.
robot, the
Yes.
Daleks are there, the Daleks
Yes.
probably know where they are. "Oh, we'll just have a nap for, like, a few hours until
The
the sun
Dalek
comes
actually,
up."
no, the Daleks well, you've got a kind of point because the
Thank
Daleks
you.
aren't gonna find them because the Daleks have this scene where they're like, "Why don't we just wait until it's daytime before we go and try and kill the humans?"
Oh, do that. Oh, well,
They
that's
they
very
as they
convenient.
as well.
Let's let them have a little sleep,
And they
and
have
then we'll
their
go and get
nodding.
them.
You know the
Oh,
nodding?
right,
That
yes.
bit where they waggle their hands like, "Yes, yes, yes." And they have, like, that party hard gif that you sometimes see from it.
Yes, I remember now. Very convenient
Mhm.
for the
There's also
story.
it is very convenient that the Daleks are probably afraid of the dark because they didn't want to go and look out at night time. The movie Daleks are also in that scene,
Yes,
in the background, but I don't think they're supposed to be. I think they were
hung
just sitting at
around.
they were just sitting at the side. Um, yeah. I mean, I'm just slagging off the production now.
Yeah, well, what's
Um,
new?
what's new? Anyway, we move on to the mechanoids,
We
and this is what I
do.
like because I like mechanoids.
Brilliant. Oh, bring
And
them
we get
back.
a
Bring them
decent
back.
cliffhanger for it because you get the Into the Unknown, which I think is always a great cliffhanger for Doctor Who when it's not they're in mortal danger, they're
No.
about to die, or a
Well, you don't
reveal of a
know.
baddie.
Who
Well, you don't
knows?
know. It's not like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you now, Doctor,"
No.
or something like that.
It's like,
It's
what the fuck's this?
we need to go into the unknown.
Yeah.
I like that kind of cliffhanger
Mm.
onwards to the next thing. Do you know what the Daleks are shouting, by the way, when they're escaping?
Attack and is it like that bit where they're like attack and destroy?
Attack and rejoice.
Oh yes, I really picked up on that yesterday.
Is that
Attack,
weird?
attack and destroy, destroy and rejoice. And I was like, why? You're a
Yeah.
Dalek. Like, why are you rejoicing? You're a Dalek. It's
I
like
think
one of
there's
those
this
words that you feel like they shouldn't know. Do you know what I mean?
well, if you're in the first Dalek
Very
story,
emotionally
they
charged.
do say things that Daleks you wouldn't expect Daleks to say, and I think
Mm.
the case is that they've kind of become less and less emotive as time goes on, and as we've come to know the Daleks as, like, properly that if
I
they're
think you're
saying anything
suggesting that
emotional,
that
it's
was
hate.
planned.
It's not
I
planned.
don't know.
It's
Yeah.
how because Terry Nation hasn't always written for the Daleks, like,
No.
it's been handed down to other writers, and as it's been handed down, the idea of what a Dalek is has maybe changed slightly.
Yeah.
I think in Terry
I
Nation's
suppose they're
mind,
understood more.
he always had in his
Yeah.
mind that the Daleks once people,
Mm.
and, like, this idea of, like, little suggestions that bits of their humanity are still in there.
Which is
In the
just,
way
like,
they word
totally gone
things,
now.
which is totally gone now.
Which actually I
But
kind
I
of miss, like, that whole story, that whole history, because I just feel like it's so, everyone's so numb to it now because of the stories that we've had.
Mhm.
Do you know what I
They
mean?
never forget about the fact that they're squids and Daleks. It's not a Destiny of the Daleks thing, but they
Mm.
are pretty much always I mean, Chibnall kinda tapped in a bit 'cause they had laughing in Resolution, didn't they, and
Mm.
stuff, but even then, like, there's like, it's just that little glimmer, you know,
Yeah.
like, they say a
Mm.
certain thing in a way that is probably how they used to speak, you know,
Yeah.
anyway, we've talked way too much about one line of dialogue that's in the
Well, we have
background
a
and
little bit.
stuff. But we get up to the Mechanoid City, and then they meet Stephen
Mhm.
Taylor, and not once did they hold on, aren't you that prick who
Hold
was in the
on,
top of the
yeah.
Empire State Building?
Weren't you American?
Weren't you ridiculously stereotypical American? Weren't you, like, proper, like, Trump supporting ridiculousness?
Oh god.
"We're gonna make America great again."
Oh god. Oh,
"You took the bullet for this country."
oh god, let's not even go into
We're
that.
not, we're not, we're not. It's not worth our time. But,
Have you seen the little
Stephen's
pillow he
okay.
has it now? It's very cute. It's so cute.
It's a nice fashion accessory.
Steven's okay. He's alright.
It makes Stephen's okay.
I tell
He's
you what, he kind of annoyed me though in this episode.
in
The
more
whole
than
like
Mortendell.
well, no, 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 no. No, no. But, like, the whole, like, running back into a burning building for a stuffed animal, it's just I don't know if
I
I've just had
suppose
a long week at work, but I
no,
watched it and I was just like,
no, I
"Oh,
don't think
you
it's you
idiot."
being mental. I think it is Stephen being stuck on
I
a
just felt like a
planet on
deep-rooted
his own
hatred.
for
I
2
was like, "You're
years
an
that he's just
idiot.
not quite
You're an
all
idiot."
there. He's just not
Yeah.
quite all there at
But, like,
this moment
also
because he does other things which are maybe, like, a little bit Obviously, he gets better because he goes and travels with the Doctor, and he
But
gets
I
his head
don't
screwed
remember
on,
seeing his
but he's not
mascot or
quite.
hearing about him ever again. Like, in The Meddling Monk,
What?
I don't remember hearing or seeing
Janey?
anything. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
What about that iconic line about, "That is a chair with a panda on it, sheer poetry, my dear boy."
But is that it? Is that it? Is that the only other
I think it becomes like an accessory in the console room after that, because I think
right, okay.
it stays on that chair, and that's, like,
And
where it
when
lives.
Stephen goes, when does he go?
The savages, and it's totally missing, so I don't know if he took the panda. No one does.
No.
Okay.
I doubt he did.
Who knows? He might have been
'Cause
like,
he just
"Doctor, I have
leaves
to leave you,"
he'll
but
run into
wait.
a burning building for it, but he's happy to just leave it on the TARDIS. He doesn't care about it that much.
I know. I think they just needed a reason for him to separate from the
Be an
rest of the
idiot, yeah.
because they wanted, like, 'cause he would have been standing around a bit awkwardly if he was around for the whole Ian and Barbara exiting thing, and yeah,
Mm.
I think he just they didn't want him to be in that, so he had to be
No,
separated
that's
somehow,
understandable. I
and
feel like
that
there
was
could have
the
been a
best they could
better
come up with.
reason. I feel
And
like
the
even
thing
I actually even feel like if he was the last one to come down and they all
Mhm.
got down there and they were like, "Oh, where's Stephen? Oh, he must still be up there. We have to go." I feel like that would have even been better, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling very grumpy
Or
about it. I'm
Vicky, by the
sorry.
way, actually, because
Scared of heights, yeah.
1,500 feet.
And they're
I'm
just
not
like
sure.
throwing her
Well,
down.
let me just get that into perspective. Like, how
That's a
many
lot.
buildings are there that are like 15,000 feet
Well, that's
tall
like
buildings?
skydiving height, isn't it? That's like 20,000 feet is where they skydive from, I swear.
Going back to New York,
Right.
Central Park Tower in New York, which is a
Which one is that?
literal skyscraper.
Right.
So it is the height of a literal skyscraper, is what they lower her down
Yeah. On
1,500
a little
feet.
flimsy bit of wire that she's
I'll
just
just send
clinging
you.
onto.
This is going to be, well, I don't know if I can do this on the podcast or not,
Right.
but I'm going to send you a picture of 15,000 feet, or not 15,000, 1,500,
Mm. Oh, is it
1,500,
1,500? Oh, so I was gonna
1,500 feet.
say 15,000. 15,000. She's in the clouds. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my
They they
god.
are they are passing out from oxygen, lack of oxygen.
Literally. Oh my god.
That's how far down they lower Vicky.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
But
that's the
also, you've then gotta think, so Vicky, did they, like, make, like, a little ring for her to put her foot in or something? I feel like they did.
they wrapped it round her waist.
Right. The rest of them are just, like, firemen poling it down there, like, they are not
Yeah,
attached in any way. They are
which is
just, like,
why
sliding down.
I maintain that Barbara Wright is a fucking girl boss, because she went down that
They're
that
just, like, shimmying down that wire.
yeah,
Oh
effortlessly
god.
as well, because they don't even seem the slightest bit tired by the end
Oh
of it.
god.
You know?
And then at the end of it, you see Ian's legs hanging around up there like he's in no hurry to get down at the top of the screen.
Which means he
Come
probably
get
just
down, come
he
on.
didn't even use his legs, he used just the strength of his arms to
Yeah, just
climb
holding
down
himself
that.
up. I'm just gonna hang here for a bit.
He
I'll
must
be
be
down in a minute.
buff as fuck.
God, just like sliding down
And
it.
Stephen, carrying his panda toy in one hand, going down as well.
Oh god. What did the doctor do with his cane? Like, did he just chuck it down? Oh god.
I'll pick it up when we're down at the bottom.
Oh god. Oh.
Not at all worried that it might hit Vicky's head and kill her.
Oh god, that's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious.
Sometimes I think with
Oh.
the early Doctor Who, they get very ambitious about things and they don't think
It's
practically.
almost like it's
Hold
not
on, they have to
real.
climb down the heights of the Central Park, a
That is
skyscraper.
absolutely ridiculous. Imagine the rope burn. Oh my
I mean,
god.
I'm just How
Oh,
tall is the Empire State Building? Is it taller than that?
it must be. No, it can't be, surely,
It's
that's a
not.
new
The Empire
building,
State Building is 1,250 feet
so it's taller
tall.
than the Empire
So they
State Building.
climb down taller than the Empire
Oh
State Building.
god. And they were worrying about him
And they were
jumping off,
worried about being
honestly.
too high up. They tried to be like, "This is a bad place to fight the Daleks, Doctor. We're too high up." And then they
Oh,
go even
yeah,
higher
let's
up
go
every
even
time.
higher.
Oh,
Oh, that's
uh,
brilliant.
that's a
That's
nice little nugget
absolutely
of
brilliant.
information that we've uncovered, is that he
Oh,
casually
Jesus
climbed the height
Christ. Has
down the
anyone
height of
ever
the stairs.
spoken about this before? Because I feel like
No,
I would have heard of it.
I guess
Oh
not.
my
I
god,
mean,
that's
they don't
incredible.
when they talk about the height of the hold on, sorry.
Mhm.
Kia's wanting out.
Oh,
2
okay.
seconds. Oh, no, she's not wanting out. What does she want? Kia!
So I wanna hear the rest of this. What's going on? Come on.
Hello.
15,000
Oh
feet?
dear, I think maybe she's just anyway, yeah, they
No.
do definitely say in the story that it's 15,000 feet, but,
Right, 15,000 or 1,500? 15,000 is
1,500 feet.
we
Sorry.
need to clarify
1,000 1,500 feet
500 feet.
is or roughly, because I think either the doctor, when they're looking up at it, he's like, "That must be roughly 1,500 feet high," or they say it when they're up
To the
there, but
foot.
they do say that that's about the height it is, and that is taller than the Empire State Building,
Jesus Christ.
and taller
Also,
than
it took them 30 seconds to shimmy down it. Did they just
take them
let
that long,
go?
did
Did they
it?
just let go or what?
Well, I don't know, but when you
Oh
think that
god.
Stephen climbed it after them as well,
Yeah,
and
and
they
also,
never
like,
saw him climbing down, which would suggest that they managed to get down to the bottom before Stephen started climbing down, which could have only been a couple of
it's not
minutes.
just that. So they got down to the bottom before Stephen was even ready to start climbing down. And when they got to the
Yeah.
bottom, they're like, "Oh my god, the cable's on fire. How did
Yeah.
he get down? How did he get
Yes.
down? It's on fire and he's still got
He climbed
1,499 feet
he
to
climbed
go."
down onto the 1,500 feet of
Oh
rope, and it was on
god.
fire.
Oh
That dude
gosh.
is insane.
Oh
Like,
Jesus.
he really underplayed, like, the rest of his time in the TARDIS, he must have been really like, "Oh, I don't know, doctor, I'm not that strong," you know?
But also, like,
So
he managed to do that in 30 seconds with the rope and the building on fire, but he couldn't escape in 2 years. So it's like, come on, if you're that clever, why are you here? Oh god.
no, I get they just didn't think it through and they wrote it. They
No,
just thought of a
no. Oh,
random
obviously not.
number of feet that sounded really high.
Oh god.
Yeah. Jeez.
Oh god. Oh, that's so funny.
Come on, cat, move.
Oh.
There she wants out. Quick. Um, anyway, now that we've, really indulged I don't know, our funny bones, uh, we've got to talk about Ian and Barbara leaving.
In about believing, yeah. They bugger
I
off.
think,
That's literally what I've written. Ian and Barbara bugger off back to 1965 in the Daleks' TARDIS.
Doctor, I've had some thoughts about me and Barbara, and I think we're going to bugger off.
Yeah. To be fair, they've been through a lot in the last 20 minutes alone. Like,
I
let them
know, we've
go.
literally just
Let
climbed
them
down the height
go
of a skyscraper.
in
I'm
30
treating
seconds.
crackered. I want to go and have a pint in a pub, which is damn well what he says anyway.
Yeah, I've been
Isn't
hanging
it?
on to this rope for 20 minutes off screen, waiting for you to finish your scene. Oh, God.
Uh,
Can we
it's
talk about that battle scene, though? That little
oh
montage?
my god, we didn't talk about the
Oh,
battle scene,
that
which
is
is
a
the
work
centerpiece of
of
the
art.
story. It's the
It's a
centerpiece of the
work of
story.
art.
That's what's on the cover of the DVD is the battle
Mm,
scene. Often when there's like when they're talking about the chase and they have a picture, it's usually the Daleks and the Mechanoids having a wee
yeah.
scrape. It's a good scene.
I think it's brilliant, like, all the,
This
like, fading in and out of film, it really adds, like, a time element to it, like, they must have been battling for I mean, if we take away the fact that it took 30 seconds for them to get down that rope, they must have been
yeah,
battling for, like, a long time, and I really, really love that. I think it's
it's
beautiful.
it's a clever shot. It's a good way of saving money because there were
Mm.
only 3 Daleks and 3
Yeah.
mechanoids, but they did, I'm gonna get into some numbers now, and this is the final
Oh,
bit of
here we
nerdery,
go.
like proper number nerdery.
Is that
And, this'll wrap things up with the Daleks quite well, because remember you made your joke about seeing 8 of them going into the TARDIS at the start,
Yes.
and I was like, "No, you didn't, you saw
2 of
6."
them have gone in the haunted house. One of
No,
them's
no,
gone and Mary's
let me
left.
talk. So the TARDIS lands in the control room,
Yeah.
so there are already Daleks on board before the ones we see go on board. We see 6 Daleks go on board.
Right.
In the scene with those movie Daleks cut on the bases, we see 8 Daleks.
Right. Oh
I think
god.
I think it's established that there are 8 Daleks in that, capsule that are sent away to kill the Doctor. One of them
Right.
gets killed in Iridius, one of them
Yes.
gets killed in a boat,
Mhm.
2 of them get killed in the haunted house,
Yes.
uh, and then 3 of them with fight the Mechanoids? No. There should only be about 4 Daleks left by the end, I think. Unless I'm forgetting 1 Dalek death, maybe. Oh, no!
Isn't there one in the prison cell that dies?
Yeah, there's one in the prison cell that
Gets
dies, and
blown
there's one that
up?
gets beaten up by Dracula. Either way, I think if you add it up, I think it actually works that there should only be 3
Oh
Daleks left at the
god.
end, which and also, you see exactly 3 Daleks getting blown up in the battle sequence as well. So
Well, you
in
sort
terms of
of
that shot
do.
where you see them, like, crumple, like, get blown up and crumple, there's 3 of them that go down,
Right.
and the shot at the start clearly shows 3 Daleks going around. So, in a way, it
I
does
think it's
kind of
supposed
work.
to look like there are more Daleks there
There
though,
are
no?
supposed to be, but
But you're
actually,
talking
from a
about
plot
physical
perspective,
prop.
well, physical props and from a plot perspective, there's 8
Right.
Daleks at the start. Enough get killed off that there should be 3 Daleks at the end.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, there we are. So that big battle sequence was 3 Daleks boss fighting a ton of mechanoids and probably not well, not winning, but yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, because one gets
Oh,
killed in the city. Because I was like, "Hold on, no, there should be 4 Daleks, but there's only 3." But one gets killed and does the "I'm exterminated" thing.
yeah.
Um, so that is 4 Daleks killed, like, up to the no, that's 5 Daleks killed up to the battle
Oh my
sequence.
god.
1 dies 8 Daleks, 1
Oh
dies in
my god,
Iridius,
stop. Oh my god,
1
please stop.
dies on Mary Celeste,
Oh my god,
2
my
die in the
ears.
haunted
My ears
house,
bleeding.
1 dies in the prison cell in
Oh.
the Mechanoid city. That leaves 3 Daleks to fight the Mechanoids.
Yep.
Exactly how many's in the battle scene, exactly how many get blown up in that
Yep.
battle scene.
Mhm. Mm, yep.
They definitely didn't intend for that to happen, but it works out quite well.
Nice.
Nice, and
Okay.
only I could possibly be satisfied with that. No one else cares.
Oh god.
And that is a tangent because we were talking about Ian and Barbara leaving.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, hell, this is gonna be a long episode, but
This is gonna be a long why is what do you mean
I
is gonna be a it is a long episode.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I think it's a clever way for them to go. Like they've got a time machine that can accurately fly to different places.
Mhm.
Uh, so why not use it? And then
Yeah,
the
why
Doctor
not?
being stubborn because he's doesn't want to see them go. He secretly cares a lot about them is a nice touch. And Vicky persuading him to do it and all that
Yeah.
works very well. Uh, yeah. And then, as we say, like using the time space visualizer to see them at the end.
See them up going away.
see, make sure that I got
Jump
home
on
safe and all
buses.
that stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a clever. It's probably arguably more clever than Susan Susan's departure, where it's just like you need to be a housewife. Bye. Quite that's quite frankly what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I
You
guess
know?
so, I guess so.
So
Different attitudes, different
different
attitudes.
different times, different attitudes. Uh so yeah, I like the departure, and then we also get that the meme.
The meme?
We get a meme, Janie.
What the meme? What meme?
You know the meme.
With Ian
Yes?
seeing the TARDIS? Well, a police
No,
box?
but
No.
that is also a
Which me?
meme.
Which one are you talking?
London 1965.
Right. Is that a
You don't
meme?
sound like you don't know about London 1965?
Well, maybe I do. Or maybe I did, but
I'll
I'm
jog your memory then. So, do you remember when they did Doctor Who on Twitch?
yes. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, sure.
That's
No.
not a confident
No,
yes.
I don't know what you're talking
So they
about.
did this thing on Twitch, which is a live streaming platform.
Mm.
Uh, they did this thing officially via the
Mm.
BBC and Twitch where they live streamed every classic Doctor Who story in order.
Oh, yes, and it was like a roll it just kept on going. Yeah?
Well, yeah, they like it kept on going, and they had it like so they do a block of episodes, and they'd roll through the block of episodes a few times, and then they go for the next block of episodes and do that.
Yes, yes. I
But
do remember this.
in between the episodes, they would have like some trail like they'd have trailers.
Oh, right. Well, like actual
Uh,
trailers.
not like actual
Oh,
trailers, like on Twitch now, classic Doctor Who.
right.
Um, but the thing that stuck with people is the clip of Ian being like London
Oh,
1965.
I'm on it
And because
now.
he'd say it all the time, it became this thing, and Twitter went crazy over it. London
Nice.
1965.
That was
It was on
enjoyable.
T-shirts,
Oh, was
and
it?
they have. I think they did they echo it in an episodes later on, like in actual Doctor Who. They maybe done a nod to it
Oh, I don't
because
know.
yeah.
Interesting.
Um, but yeah, London 1965 became a hell of a meme for
Nice.
2018, and I think
Nice.
it was one of those ones that like creeped into regular internet stuff.
Oh, right.
You know, one of those ones where
Yeah.
the internet's, "What the fuck is this?" Apparently this is funny, I guess. Like that Tegan one went viral recently, didn't it?
Which one?
Like that clip of Tegan trying to operate the TARDIS in Port of
Oh,
Doomsday,
yes.
and she's, like, waving her
Yeah.
hands around. That just that blew up for
I
some
see
reason.
that on everything. On everything, I see that.
Yeah. But
Brilliant.
it's a bit like that. It was a thing, and every time I watch The Chase now and that bit comes up, I'm like, "Oh, London 1965. Yay."
Nice. What a
I
lovely
never minded
legacy.
that trailer personally. I
Oh,
mean, it was just
I just
seeing it over and
it
over
was
again.
just a
It's the
lot. It's
other
very
Twitch
loud.
trailers. It's the other Twitch trailers that when we finish this podcast, I'm gonna show you these trailers,
Please
Jamie.
don't. Oh my god, please don't.
Yes, I will.
No, please. Oh,
Anyway,
I've got to go. Oh
I'll
no.
have
I've got
you.
a hospital appointment, yeah.
Oh
Oh
God, I didn't realize the
no.
chase made
Oh no.
was that bad.
I'm coming up in hives.
No, you've got vertigo after thinking about
Yes, don't
1,500
joke.
feet.
Yeah, having to
Um,
climb down in 30 seconds. God.
anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the chase. The only thing is that bit
That's
where
pretty
Ian
much.
sees the real police box.
Yes.
Fun fact, that is the only time a real police box ever appears in Doctor Who.
Is it? Interest
Yeah.
is it?
And like an actual proper one, because that's what they
Okay.
use in that like photo montage when they find it.
An actual one?
An actual one, and then obviously they get knocked down. So yeah,
Interesting.
unless they have a episode where they go to wherever the fuck that one is, Earl's Court in London, and they actually see that,
Right.
or unless
Hmm.
they go to Glasgow where we've got 6 of them knocking about.
Oh, do you?
We do.
Oh,
We do.
nice. You ever been to
Yeah.
them?
Of course I fucking have.
Have
I've
you
walked past them
replayed
1,000
the
times.
game?
No,
Well, then I think you should be ashamed of yourself.
I should be. But anyway, unless they go and find some of these very rare original piece boxes that are going
Mm,
around, that is for now
the only time.
the only time, yeah.
Interesting.
I think we should probably end it there because God knows, we've fucking exhausted ourselves. We've finished the
I need to
story
have a nap now until the sun comes back up in a cave on
in a
straight,
cave,
like flat on my back, really uncomfortable.
in the dirt and the rock and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's what I need to do
No
with.
better way to do it. No better way.
What a peaceful
Uh,
night.
Join us next time or don't if you've
Yes.
really had enough of
You
us.
really don't have to, yeah.
You don't have to.
You don't have
Where
to.
we are going to do the hypothetical
We
about
are.
how would we go about making a multi-doctor story
Mhm.
in the 2020s.
Yeah, buckle up. It's gonna
Buckle
be
up.
a ride.
It won't be as fucking long as this, I promise you.
Well, you never know.
I'll have more control over how much we have to talk about. We don't have to talk about 6
Ugh,
episodes of
no, this is a
girly
lot.
shit. Before we go, though,
Oh,
we do have to give this story
oh, of
its
course.
ranking.
We haven't even
I
discussed this.
do enjoy it a lot,
Yeah,
and it's got so many wee
plot points. No,
mistakes
yeah.
and
Mhm.
a couple of little questionable things in the plot,
Yeah.
but it's full of imagination. It is
Yes.
fun. It has got a lot of things, both intentionally and unintentionally, that you can laugh
Mhm.
at.
Yeah.
So it's definitely either a 9 or a 10, The Chase. I'm willing to go for a 9, but
Oh, I thought you were gonna say you're willing to go for a 10. I thought it was gonna be our first star of
well,
episodic
if
excellence.
you want it to be a 10, I will give it a 10 because it's one that I've been watching a long time and I've enjoyed a long time, and
Well, do you know
I
what I
don't it
think it
doesn't
is?
drag like six-parters can.
No, I think it is
That's another thing.
a brilliant classic episode. I think it uses the TARDIS and like time aspects a lot more than most other episodes do, which is always good.
And
Daleks,
there's
mechanoids.
Daleks, mechanoids. There's a lot of stories in the 60s where the TARDIS team gets split up for a very long time,
Mm,
sometimes for pretty much the entire story. But this time, bar Vicky going on a little jaunt for not very long, quite frankly, they do spend a lot of time together, this TARDIS team,
yeah.
and really reaffirm that family element to it,
Mm.
which I think is good. And they do work
Well,
together. They've all got great chemistry and everything.
I also just think like the things that this episode triggered, like you've got to think like all the comics, like fans have wanted the mechanoids back for basically 60 years, all because of this one story. You've got to think
And
about
they
like the
only
wider
have
picture.
5 minutes of screen time in the
Precise.
story
So
as
I
well.
think that says a lot about this episode.
I think
I'm I'm thinking it
it's
might be a
creative.
10.
It builds up on a lot of it builds up on a lot of things, and it opens doors, like, as I said, the whole thing about using the TARDIS in that way and having more than one time machine and having the enemies time travel around as well. Uh,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
10
I
then,
think.
fine.
Do you think it's a 10?
We give it the badge,
Oh
the
my
star
god, for the
of
first
episodic
time.
excellence. Be gentle with the star,
Oh,
handle it carefully.
that is beautiful. Oh,
It's got it, there you go.
I feel like I could cry.
You've just been wanting to hear that fucking sound effect.
Yeah, I literally I've literally for for 9 weeks or whatever, I've just wanted to hear it. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, The Chase is the first episode with the start of episodic excellence.
Yep.
And sometimes you don't need to be perfect to be perfect.
No, that is
Perfectly
so
imperfect.
profound. That's so poetic.
That's really impressive for me, not just, like,
I'm
in
very
general, but also
impressed, and not even in, like, a
af
sarcastic way, like, I am impressed.
after 2 hours of fuckery and manic talking as well.
2 hours of brain rot.
Of total brain
Brilliant.
rot.
That was very I think you should be very pleased with that.
Thank you.
That's the quote. Oh my god, that is the quote.
The quote,
That's the quote of this week.
"The perfect thing, sometimes you don't
Yeah.
need to be perfect to be
The
perfect."
the perfect thing. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
sure. Join us next time for the hypothetical where we
Or
don't actually
don't.
have to do a score at the end because
Yes.
that'll help Janie.
Oh,
She hates doing the scores. Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
I kind of do.
join us next time for that.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Bye bye bye. Bye 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 bye.